that's so exciting, and it's so amazingly attractive.
Yeah, you're not laughing now, are you?
Right, let's get that sorted out a bit. So that there. Right, this is going to be a mess. But 42 is going to save it because he's a saviour. That's what he is. He's a saviour of all peoples. He's there. He's right there. Hello, mate. Thanks for getting here. No hassle, no problems. Very rare. Very rare. Packer, my co-host, won't be joining us tonight. Give him a bit of time to relax with the chat. I just don't think it's suited a conversation with 42, because that would be a conversation with 42 and Packer, and everything I asked 42, I would then ask Packer, and Packer would go, don't know. So it would add quite a lot of time to it. Now, the issue is I've finished work about 5 minutes ago, and I've still not finished. It's taken me more than 16 hours to make a work video of an interview I'd done, and it fucked up. I've lost about 15 minutes of the footage, and it's right in the middle of the video. So it's all going great. I'm editing it all nice, and it just goes, and he goes, the bloke I'm interviewing, who is the world's most knowledgeable person on lock picking and bypassing. There's no one else knows as much as him. It's a real coup to get the interview. And about 30 minutes in, he goes, trying to stick the old... anyway, it was I'm trying to be stoic about it, and I'm looking at the fact that I got the interview, and rather than complaining that I've missed 15, 20 minutes of footage, I've actually got the other 50 minutes. But wow, making a video of a long interview certainly takes a bit longer than 3 minutes of boshing together a video about people who say literally in a figurative way. It would appear I've got a super chat. Anglo Saxano opens the 42 stream grift. Happy belated birthday. Working, lurking, listening. Sweet. One wise monkey. I like the sound of that. Nice one, Anglo. You have been mentioned in your absence, though. We played a couple of tunes last night, I think it was. And no, I think it was when I done the Hugh Cow. Yeah, you done well to miss that. You've had your hand up too many. I'm not going to carry on with that sentence. But I played a tune, and then I said I'm going to play another one as well. And unless Anglo's here, and you didn't pop up, so I played a different one. But there you go. You are immersed. You are threaded into the very fabric of the glorious House of Scrubs. You know, tell the boys at the boozer that. If you want to attract a lady, you know, what do? Butcher, thinker, scrub. Give it a go, eh? I can't help but feel I've lost some girth. I've got to get back on those. I've lost a bit. I feel a bit thin. I'm sure I was a bit wider before. 52 years old, and the vanity doth continue. Don't forget, people, usual grift, entropy at the top of the chat, super chat at the bottom of the chat, and you can actually use that, which reminds me, I better get that up on the screen. That one, I get the biggest cut. So it's quite cool. You put your camera over it, and then it gives you a link on your screen. Press it, and then it's usual capers from there. But I've got that open. Thank you to the people who've already subscribed to that. I've reached 7.45% of my goal. Right, I'm not going to keep 42 waiting much longer, because you know what he's like. He'll be there going... He's like Lartus, but with words in between of the mumbles. It's good to slag off your guests, especially when they've rushed home from work to give you their time. Now, I'm going to get him on immediately, though, because 42...
What about you, chum?
Look, you deliberately done, didn't you? It was clear.
No, here's what happened. I was surprised, so it didn't have the 4 seconds to get ready to speak.
You didn't get the chance to be, I think nervous is the wrong word, but...
Slavatate or something like that. It's like Pavlov's dogs.
My God, you're just dropping them big bombs immediately. To be honest with you, I don't know what you're talking about. Slavko's dogs.
No, Pavlov's dog. Where they slavulate it with the bell.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But
See,
Slavko is the bloke who directed that. It doesn't matter. Right, here's the slight problem that can easily be rectified.
I think I figured it.
Do you remember when you put pictures on here?
Yes. All right.
Do you
want me to fire up?
Do
you want me to fire up the video so I can also control them, stop them, start them?
That's what I thought would make sense. Now, I'm not trying to get out of it. I've got them.
I can do all that. It'll actually probably work better.
Do you want to?
Yep. Go for it. We'll do it that way. It's probably going to be handier.
Yeah, right. So that's so kind of you. And I just want to tell the people what that means. So I said to 42 earlier because this stream has been, this is the third of a perfect pair. Pags will tell you where that's from. If anyone beats Pags, they get 20 points. We done 2 about men's rights. Don't say it 42 because I got it right in the thing, I think. Men's rights
movement.
No.
MRA is
advocacy.
Advocate, yes.
There you go. So we done 2 other streams, but there was at the end of the second one, 42 started getting into Jordan Peterson, and then when I'd done the reacting to Andrew Tate stream, 42 just dropped some bombs right at the end of the Andrew Tate stream. It was brilliant. Because all the way through, I was sort of on the fence. You know, they're attractive blokes. They're interesting. They're funny. You know, regardless of their political ability, their controlled or not controlled opposition. You know, it's like when someone falls over. It's not ethically sound to go, but everyone does. And so, you know, I was sort of still there, and 42 just went, yeah, I get what you're saying, but... boom, boom, boom. And it was like, whoa. And then he went, which reminds me, because it's similar to Jordan Peterson. Boom, boom, boom. So I said, all right, it's probably been over a year, hasn't it? 42.
Not since we talked about from the
first 2.
Yeah, it is. It's probably about that because it's also about 2.5 years since I first come on to talk about the Belfast childhood.
Right.
That's like 2.5 years. So I would say, yeah, the men's rights one was probably about a year ago.
I think people like it though when they, you know, they've been waiting for it with bated breath. So what's happened is I said to 42, send me some clips of Jordan Peterson saying the sort of things that you've got issue with and that shows him in a certain light. And which 42 did, to his credit. I asked him, he provided. But I've been having computer problems all day. I might even have to reboot during the stream. If I have to do it more than once, we'll just fuck it off because it's not.
I can. What I've done is I've opened up the email, so I've got the links that I originally sent you, and I can pull them up one by one and share them to the screen. Then you just hit share, and they'll come up.
I didn't understand the word, but I'll definitely do it.
Right, not a problem.
So, 42. I know Ted. 42. Let me say hello to some people.
Yes, do your hellos.
Yeah, all that lark. I haven't even finished what I was telling them first, though. Hang on. So 42 is going to do the videos. Now, the reason that's really kind of him is because 42's got his own channel. And when you've got your own channel and you have to do things like videos and all that stuff, it is work and it is confusing and it is a bit of a pain in the ass. And I've just said to him, can you do it? And he said yes. So he probably thought he's got home from work, he can sit down and wax lyrical on the problems of the dark side of Jordan Peterson, or whatever we want to call it. And I've just dropped that on him, said, can you sort out the videos, please? I'm lazy. And he went, yes. So that's really kind of him. And I, believe me, people, it will make for a better show because, well, you'll see. But let's say hello. It would appear to be, you've brought some of your own in 42. There's names I doth not recognise.
There may be a few followers. I did spam this all over Facebook in the last hour.
All right. Well, I also hashtagged it Jordan Peterson, so we might get some fanboys in. And according to Gentleman's Quarterly, they're all the alt-right, apparently.
Well, Jordan Peterson does have quite the fanboy crowd, and we will get into that.
Okay. Thugs and alt-right, most of the things I've read have said. Yeah, exactly, which is interesting. But let's not get there yet. Let's say loads. My man, Dr. C. Lilly's every time Earth Coincidence Control Center is here. Nice to see you. Clean your room. Wash your penis, bucko. Hello, John. Hello, King. What an absolute pleasure. Pack alert. He don't know what to do. He hates you. 42. He hates you. Just outright hate. John B says, is this about his awful taste in suits? I've got to say, JP actually has got a sartorial. I reckon he's got a stylist because he scrubbed up very well. Look at 42, he ain't having it. Look, any little chink in the armor, he's straight there. Oh, he's got a stylist, yeah. It's a big performance. It's like well, we're going to get there, people. Look, he's champing at the bit. Look, he said it here. Look, he said it himself just while I said that. Start yelling timber, it's going down. It is. Oh, my God. Johnny Red Pill Seed, I don't know what he's saying because it's letters and numbers and all. Good Lord. Hello, Baz. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Mother R. Waters. Oh, I don't even know what that means. It's so surreal. Emma G. You can't do that. That don't count. Well, it does count. Grego should have his own channel. One of the funniest blokes on the internet. Yeah, I said it, and what I say means things. 42 there, just flirting with his own missus in public. Mousecat, hello, son. Nice to see thee. He's giving it a hoit. I'll give it a hoit back. There's 90 people here now, so sorry, people. You're too late. You can pay, and don't worry, you'll get recognised. Someone sent me an email and said, if you'd have hit that THC vape, I'd have given you 100 quid. And I said, well, I'll do it once you've given me the 100 quid. He went, nah, you've got to do it first. And I just went, nah.
Strangely feel to type that into the chat and then let you do it and then follow up with the £100 super chat. Maybe that might have been the time to do that.
Say it again, but slower and clearer.
Right. Whoever it was that sent you the email, strangely failed live on the stream to just type that into the chat.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Right, I'll do it. I'll give you 100 quid. And then you do it, then they proffer up. You know, he's told you after the event that
there you go.
Be recreated.
I mean, I'm not going to rat him because he's actually a good bloke, but I do trust him. But I've paid to play a couple of thousand times and never as what happened there? Are you still there?
Yep. Hello.
Yeah, something really weird happened. Oh, let me close that because that's work. Is that you or me? Hello? I got rid of him. That was him because as soon as I got rid of him, it stopped. 42, that was you. Emma, you're in the same room as him. Like, is the whole room sort of going like that? And like, is it like protect and survive, like radiation? Let's try and bring him back in and see if he can get back without the noise. Hello?
Check 1 2. Check
What
1 2.
what the hell happened there, mate? I thought you were a professional. I thought this was going to be easy.
Do you know what it is? The
You're
government
interfering with yourself, aren't you?
the government have figured out there's something bad going down. They're trying to take us
Government,
down.
no. Not the government's amazing. Let's see how specific we can get it. The House of Commons. I don't know why that makes me laugh. The backbenchers are on to you. Right. Go on.
The backbenchers are on my side. It's the people at the front bench I've got issues with.
So the ones who've got no power on your side and the people who make policy are.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gets even deeper and darker and dirtier than that. It is what I've come to realize over the last 3-4 years is fucking scary, mate.
Oh, don't take me down those roads.
No, I'm not.
I mean, you can obviously, but I'd say don't because
get
scary, innit?
Because I've been involved with how legislation works and lobbying with people and stuff. What I've seen and how this will see. 90% of all the woke stuff that we're getting, the people in power are willing to throw any of that under the bus to stop the stuff that they really don't want. It's real. It's truly frightening to the point where
I think we're seeing it reflected in the West in general, aren't we? I mean, I saw I mean, whatever you think of Trump, it doesn't really matter. But what did I see today? I've forgotten now. They had someone on. Oh, they had Robert De Niro on.
Yep.
And like it was like CNN or something, like, you know, one of the biggest legacy media channels. And it had Robert De Niro. First question, would you play Donald Trump in a movie? And Robert De Niro's losing his mind and thinks he's a gangster, but he's not. He's a very effeminate actor, which is all right. But he went, no, there's nothing. What? Who wouldn't want to play the president? One of the most interesting, divisive, challenging. That's an actor's dream, isn't it? And he went, no, because it was theatre, obviously. They probably had a script. What? I mean, building up to an election, the Democrats have got nothing positive to say. So all they do is say Robert De Niro wouldn't play Trump. It was a 40-minute interview, and it was just different ways of saying, no, I wouldn't play Trump. Another thing that is mind-blowing, and I'm going to play it. I've got two little clips just to get, don't worry, 42, it's early here. Well, 11, but I'll make sure you get your time. I just want to show you Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks is on the turn. She is on the turn. Now, I saw her. I watched her on.
Do you know what it was turned her?
Right. It might tell me.
My understanding.
Having to work with Cenk Uygur for 10 years.
No, what happened was she got robbed, possibly carjacked. One of those two. She was somebody either stole her bag on the street or stole her car. One of those two. I can't remember the exact.
And she called the police, and they went, "Nah."
No, but as soon as she started to talk about it, as she talks about everything else in her life, all of the people who supported her turned on her, because you can't be talking about minorities committing crimes. And then there was something else. I can't remember, but it was another criminal act against her, and she spoke about that, and they all jumped on her again, and that's when she started to change.
Well, because she's probably rung the police. They've said, we don't come out. Then another one happened. They found them guilty, cameras, forensic evidence, and the district attorney said, "No, we're not pressing charges because we don't." And she was like, "Hey," you know, that sort of thing. But I'm just looking at his. Hang on, I'm just looking because I saw it on the Liberal Hive Mind. I remember when this bloke had like 5,000 channels here. She made a video. No, he made a video, and it's called "Anna Kasparian Finally Snaps."
Is that actual? Is that actual Justice Warrior?
No, Liberal Hive Mind.
All right.
But the one I watched today, we won't watch all of it because it's a long video, but it's quite interesting. We'll just watch the beginning of it because Nancy Pelosi is. Well, I'm not simping for Anna Kasparian. I mean, would tap, but it's really interesting because Jen isn't liking the direction it's going. There's no denying the Young Turks are the biggest so-called alternative media of the left. You know, they're their biggest platform, and if they're moving right, you know, they get sponsored by like Qatar and Saudi, and I think who's Al Jazeera, like give them millions, just keep saying shitty things about America and keeping the borders open. So have a look at this. I won't play a lot of it, but if you were to see this and you didn't know anything about Anna Kasparian, you wouldn't. I think it's fair to say you wouldn't consider her a Democrat. Well, you would because she mentions it. But anyway, here we go. I'll only play about a minute and a half.
Leftists are admitting simply isn't working.
The economy, Trump leads. Immigration, Trump leads. Foreign conflicts, Trump leads.
Hang on, we don't want that bit. We just want the Nancy Pelosi bit. No? Right, here we go.
Yeah.
Democrats have left if even this isn't working anymore.
Informed, Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role.
You just witnessed Nancy Pelosi proudly display her hypocrisy in the context of the same interview, the same conversation within 3 minutes. That was incredible. She goes from fear-mongering about Donald Trump and his lack of respect for freedom of the press, and then goes on to accuse an anchor at MSNBC, Katie Tur, of being an apologist for Donald Trump for simply stating a fact. That was an incredible moment, and she should be called out for it.
100%. But she's this.
Now, I'm telling you, you don't get that even a year ago. Not a chance. It's insane that Kasparian's calling out Nancy Pelosi a few months before a general election. Amazing. Are you still there, son?
Yes, still here. Yeah, that's quite the turnaround for Kasparian.
Yeah, and it goes on. I advise you all to go check it out. Not now, obviously, but the channel's called Liberal Hive Mind. It's quite a good geezer. No, an actual good geezer. Now, this next one I'm showing you, John Kennedy, where is it? It's in a Senate hearing. It's a budget hearing in the Senate. We all know John Kennedy. I mean, I would love the likes of John Kennedy to be running America. There's a little crew of them that are they are ruthless, they are honest, and they are savage. And that's what I want running the country. I know it's not my country, but it would be incredible. Now, the witness, Dr. Jeffrey Sopran, hangs around with a lot of Marxists, right? And John Kennedy gets wind of it and some of the things they've said. And this Jeffrey Sopran has supported this group of essentially Antifa, I suppose. I don't want to say that, but, Marxists, Take your pick, all the same.
Do you know what happens if you type antifa.com into your search browser and hit go?
Now, someone told me about. I think you told me, and I done it.
Yeah, it takes you to the White House.
Oh no, that's not the one I know. Someone told me to type. I don't want to give him the airtime, the bloke I'm talking about. But there's an old YouTuber who really pissed everyone off, and he's now got a Twitter account. It's doing pretty well, but the name of the Twitter account, if you put that into Google, it's like a gay sex hookup.
All right.
There's nothing wrong with gay sex if you're gay and you want sex, but I don't think he is, and I don't think he wants it.
Yeah, and he maybe made a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, he made a mistake there, and it's brilliant. Right now, so John Kennedy, this is a 10-minute video, so I'm only going to show you about 20 seconds of it because you'll see why. These people that old Dr. Jeffrey hangs around with, they've been sending messages to members of Congress, etc., saying things like, you're a fucking this, just offensive, horrible, rude language that you'd assume doesn't have a place in Senate hearings and policy making. But listen, when they cut John Kennedy off, he's had his time. He just asks the bloke one last question. It's fucking brilliant. So 5:54. So yeah, this is going to be about 50 seconds. But just listen. You won't miss it. So I don't need to give you so many unnecessary instructions. So you get the SP on what I'm talking about. Here we go. Bosh. Why won't it share? Okay.
See the documents?
Yes, sir. And the witnesses' documents there.
May I please point out that this form
the senator's time has expired, and there are other senators waiting.
I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective advice.
I'm sure you
Doc.
do. You can put them into a question for the record, and
yes, I'd like to submit all of the good doctors' objective tweets and scientific analysis for the record.
That will be done without objection. Senator Merkley.
May I clarify one final point?
Proceed.
These are not my tweets. These are retweets. It's an important
you often retweet stuff you don't support? Is that what you're telling me, Doc?
I did not say that I don't support this. I simply did not tweet it, which, as you were alleging.
But you retweeted
I'd like to make very clear that this form of character assassination is characteristic of the propaganda techniques of fossil fuel.
You retweeted
Senator Merkley.
Didn't you?
Thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
It's Senator Merkley's time.
Because that's what they're like. That geezer was retweeting them, and they're things like that. You're a sick fuck. You're a dirty pig. Are you gonna call me a sick fuck? It's incredible. I mean, what a lose in the Senate that was for the left. Beautiful. Right. So I can close that. I can keep that open. I need to keep my entropy open. I will deal with super chats, people, but I see a couple come in, and bless you so much. It's you're life saving me at the moment with the donations. But I won't want to interrupt 42's flow. So 42. So I will deal with them, but I'll deal with them in batches. That's what I'm saying. And thank you. 42. So Jordan Peterson turns up, writes a book, world famous orator, does viral videos with Kathy Newman that got more views than anything else ever.
The best viewed, shittiest interview I've ever seen in my life.
What, that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went crazy.
It went crazy. Everybody says he destroyed her. And while I agree that he won the debate, I would also say that he missed more issues than he hit.
I think there's a certain, it's like Scrabble.
Yeah.
Scrabble isn't about how many words you know. or your vocabulary. It's about knowing how to play Scrabble.
Yeah.
And I can thrash most people. Me and my mum used to play, and we'd average like 350 points each a game. And then when you play someone who doesn't really get it, they're like, hang on, how comes I'm on 30 and you're on 200? And it's like, well, because you use 2 S's in this word here, guess, when you could have used those to get a 7-letter word, stick it on a plural and probably get about 190 points. So there's a technique to arguing, and it's bad faith, it's bad actors. Because if you want to have a proper conversation with someone, you don't use argumentative techniques. That's what happens on Facebook. That's what happens on Twitter. That's what happens in Parliament. And that's what happens. I've seen it a lot with Jordan Peterson, which for me, that was a little red flag, but it was so juicy because no one likes Channel 4. No one likes Kathy Newman. So, you know, I can kind of buy into what I'm predicting you're going to say, that was almost like, do that, tear her to pieces, don't really get into any actual guts of what we're talking about, just out argue her. And it was like a professional sort of.
What's really interesting is while they let Jordan Peterson on to talk to Kathy Newman, had she had
right, hang on, 42, right?
Yep.
We're jumping ahead.
Yep.
For people who didn't see, I want you to. I will be quiet eventually. I want you to just outline what is your issue with Jordan. Don't go into details yet. Just what are most people missing? Because until you sort of give me a couple of prods and pokes about it, I quite liked him.
Right. Okay. To start at the beginning, I woke up one morning and the fire video of Jordan Peterson arguing with 36 students in a lobby somewhere was fucking viral. It was on every channel. It was on every men's rights site. It was fucking everywhere, and there was a massive support with it. Now, in order to understand this,
so for people who don't know, and that's no one, you're talking about the classic video where there's a few students outside where he worked and he refused to use people's preferred pronouns. It's that video where that weird thing in the wig and the silly glasses went through a microphone or something. That was sort of the eruption of Jordan Peterson's persona. You're talking about that video.
The day before that, nobody knew who Jordan Peterson was. The day after, everybody knew. You're muted, mate.
And have you got that video racked up?
I haven't.
It's all right. How can I find it? I can find it easy, can't I?
While you're looking for that, can I take 2 minutes and explain what I was doing at that time? Because everybody knows who Jordan Peterson was. He's very famous. Very few people know who I am. At the time, whenever that video broke, I was part of the Voice for Men meme team, making memes. We took the Voice for Men Facebook page from 7,000 to 120,000 subscribers over the course of about 5 years.
Give those numbers again.
The meme team basically dragged the Voice for Men Facebook page from 7,000 subscribers to 120,000.
Which is massive. So Voice for Men, that's the geezer from the Red.
That's Paul Elm.
What's his name?
Paul Elm.
That's it. Elm.
Yeah, A Voice for Men is the largest, most active men's rights site. I was involved with their meme team I was involved with their Facebook team, finished up running the meme team. So I had yes or no on which memes we put out there. We created them.
So you're right in with all these people.
Oh,
you know them and all that, like, do you?
It goes further than that. At that time,
does it?
right. At that time, apart from the Voice for Men stuff, I was on 2 different secret domestic abuse steering committees from countries that are not Britain, who had drafted me into their team to try and help them because I was getting good results in Belfast. So I was in there advising them.
For people who don't know, 42 has actually written letters to politicians and had positive results. 42, is this the video?
Possibly. I'm not 100% sure. The other thing I did was I got Belfast City Council to put on still the world's only government funded and participated International Men's Day event. As part of that, I had a sit down with the First Minister for Northern Ireland, Prime Minister of a very small country.
So I know you've taken a step back, and I imagine that kind of work is very demanding emotionally as well as spiritually and physically. But so
I'm in the middle of this.
You're uptown top ranking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was the type of person to put my face on screen, there would be pictures of me with Paul Allen, Cassie J, Karen Strong.
Right. So there's a chance that Scrubs have already seen you.
Unless they actually went to events, because there's no picture of me online.
Okay, how
interesting. So I was on the front door at the International Conference for Men's Issues in Gold Coast 2018. So this is somebody who is at this time working 18 hours a day in the men's rights movement, online and activism. It's my perspective isn't an outside perspective. Mine's because I was part of the A Voice for Men Facebook team. Right. I was tracking in live time the changes in the subscriptions and the comments and the people we had coming in. Because if I make a meme, I put it out, then every time somebody comments on it, I'm the person that needs to deal with the comments. Where's the source for this? What do you mean by this? Whatever. But like, everybody polices their own channel, because if you've got 6 people making memes, you're putting out on average 5 memes a day. It's too much for just the admins. So the person who generated the meme needs to go in and work in the comments to keep everything sweet. So it's more so as people can understand, I'm not looking at this from the outside. This is what I see.
This has been a solid and dedicated part of your life. You're not just some bloke saying, I've watched a couple of videos about the MRA and this is my opinion. I wanted to establish that. Okay. So
I'm on the inside. The Jordan Peterson thing breaks, and the first thing that we have is a whole bunch of new people arrive with him. The Peterson fanboys arrived on day 1 and 2 of that video breaking.
So when you say arrive, what you're talking about? Forums and
forums, Facebook pages, Twitter, everything. The Peterson fanboys arrived on that day. And
you suggesting these are people? Well, no, you're not, because you haven't. I'm asking you, are these people who you would? I'm guessing that these are people who haven't been very politically involved before.
I would say they had all the bearings of that. Whenever you looked at the comments, the way they were written, and you look at everything else that happened, and the tone policing that appeared in the men's rights movement straight after. I'm not saying that they were leftists, Marxists, masquerading as something else, but it fucking looked like it, mate.
And having experience in that kind of environment, you kind of know what to look out for. So
I'd be at this stage. I'd been running Facebook pages for 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah, right, okay,
right. So I'm very well versed in what a comment section normally looks like what it looks like whenever there's abnormalities. The other thing is, most of the large men's rights Facebook pages at that stage were also using a model that I had came up with. I did a pip. We were having problems with pages getting nuked, and I did a paper on how to keep your page safe. Everything, whenever posts get to 6 months, delete them so people can't report stuff from way ages ago and all that type of thing. And most of the men's rights pages had followed this, the large ones anyway. So I'm really well versed in Facebook and all that. And what I seen arriving after him was this was not our normal growth. This was somebody's arrived with a mob.
And so is this when Jordan Peterson sort of arrived, because there were some things where he was on television before that, but they went viral after the viral video. You could tell he was a younger bloke, and it was and he was talking to that trans female to male, and no one really gave a shit until after, and then they sort of in that environment you were in, did you not keep a lookout for this sort of thing, but did these things happen? Like, who was the head of the alt-right that they said
Richard Spencer?
So like when Richard Spencer appeared, did the MRA sort of have to give him like a sort of a tap?
No, because he never really came to us. And his people didn't really come to us.
Okay.
Can
you give us an example of someone else who did? You might not be able to.
I'm trying to think. People who arrived out of nowhere. There are a couple of people that. Somebody that arrived out of nowhere. Your woman, Australian girl.
She now works for Sky News, doesn't she?
There's Lauren Sullivan. Lauren Sullivan arrived in the men's rights movement out of nowhere.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. She arrived out of nowhere, got a really massive following. A lot of it's to do with the fact that she is an attractive woman.
Without doubt.
And there are things about how much it cost on her Patreon for a half-hour conversation on the phone.
Is she still offering that service?
I think that service probably stopped whenever she got married, but there was a lot of that. She arrived and then quickly she arrived, stayed for a while, left. After she left, she said she had issues with misogyny. The Australian chick.
That wasn't her. You're not talking about.
There's the Australian chick that had the big argument with. She went on to do the You Are Here podcast, and there was a big kick up with the guy that had the porn videos that he was trying to hide that had went all right. Yeah, Lauren is Canadian. Jeff's right.
Okay, good call, Jeff.
Lauren is Canadian.
So this is something that the
Yep.
This might sound naive.
Yes,
but
Sydney Watson.
There you go. Oh
Yep.
God! Hang on. She's quite a salt, though, isn't she? Yep. Isn't she the girlfriend of Schaefer?
I don't know.
Yeah. What's his name? Slightly offensive.
Yeah. Sydney Watson turned up, disappeared, said that the men's rights movement's very misogynist. What they basically found out was that whenever they went into it, they'll have to deal with being treated the same as everybody else. There's no, inside that movement, there are no pedestals. Nobody gets put on a pedestal. The minute you put somebody on a pedestal, they're forced to look down on you, and you're forced to look up at them. So what don't you?
She was saying that, or your
no? I'm saying that, but what happened was Sydney.
Don't organise. Listen, this is your show. You can interrupt me as much as you want. I'd rather you did, because otherwise I'll talk too much. Go on.
Right. No. Well, what Sydney's issue was, there was no pedestal. She got treated the same as everybody else. And because she wasn't getting put on a pedestal and people would call out her bullshit, she called that misogyny. Like, see if you go, really strange thing. See if, generally speaking, if you go to a big conference, you never meet you don't meet the stars. You don't meet the people that are sitting on the stage and giving the talks, right? You go in, you watch the presentations. They all go off and you do your thing. In the men's rights movement, like the one we did in Australia, which was catered, lunch was I'm going to call it 12 o'clock, could have been a different time, but at 5 to 12 on the first day everybody was going to sit down for lunch. Yeah. The first 10 to 15 people in the queue for food you had the honey badgers, you had the nice honey
badgers.
Yep, honey badgers, they were first. Nobody's getting to the food before the honey badgers, by the way. Nobody's getting to the bar before Karen.
So hang on, the problem is you're taking me back to like an internet nostalgia now, because now I want to talk about Karen Strawn and all that.
So, but my point is, so you go in, it's like a glorified school canteen. Only the benches are nicer and whatnot. The first 15 people are all people that, if you're part of this movement, you're going to recognize from the internet. So they all go up, get their food, and all went to separate tables. So everybody that had just turned up for a conference and wasn't really expecting to meet and have conversations with the stars, whenever they get their food, they then have a choice of whose table they're sitting at.
Okay, so it's not just like the top dogs on one table and then the proletariat around
That's
them.
what I'm saying. There is no pedestal. Everybody's the same. Everybody can talk to anybody. And the likes of Sydney and Lauren Sullivan, that's where they had issues, because they were used with having your speciality with being an attractive woman, and they didn't get on so well whenever that was taken away.
That's a really, it's almost psychedelic to have that argument in a men's rights situation. It's like, no. Did you read the first page of the brochure?
We'll judge on your ideas, nothing else.
But listen, we're 50 minutes in, son. And that was mostly me. But so JP, he breaks the scene. He's massive. You can't go on the internet without him. Even his lectures that he'd been putting on YouTube from, he was a an unknown Canadian lecturer and clinical psychologist. And his lectures about the Bible, his lectures about Schopenhauer, how Schopenhauer inspired Nietzsche, were getting like 10, 20 million views.
Right.
And it was just like, I'm trying to think of something to, it was like Justin Bieber for sort of middle-aged.
Yes.
The middle-aged man, Justin Bieber.
I would.
So instead of teenage girls, it was teenage boys that were.
My opinion is that young men in particular have had for so very long had nobody say a good word about them, to the point where anybody says anything resembling good, they flock to that because it's an anomaly.
Yeah, I mean, even someone like Sam Hyde has made a career out of just saying, just allowing yourself to be.
Right.
You know, we're talking about a particular group here as well.
Right. Now, so to get us back to Peterson, all the stuff about the Bible, the divine feminine, all that stuff, right? So, and his really clever psychological takes and all of that, right?
Yeah, we're not arguing whether he's an intelligent bloke, are we? He's an intelligent bloke and very well read as well.
Right. Now, the first one I want everybody to have a look at is the apple cider one. Did you watch the clips?
I'm going to say yes, but I didn't.
Right, okay. Better if you haven't. The first thing we're going to react to is Jordan Peterson's cider video. And you can tell me what you think of this. Because people are using this man as a guru, as someone to follow, whose instructions to follow. And this is what we actually have. No, where am I? Right.
Well, hang on.
Here we go. Right.
Right, I have to put that on the stage.
Right. Put that up.
I'll make it the full screen.
Right, and I will put this to theater mode. Right, here we go.
It's working together. So it's Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. And tell me whenever you think this gets weird. Right? I'm going to stop a little bit on the anyway.
All right.
One of the things that both Michaela and I noticed was that when we restricted our diet and then ate something we weren't supposed to, the reaction to eating what we weren't supposed to was absolutely catastrophic.
What did you do? What did you switch to? Or what did you eat, rather?
Well, the worst response, I think we're allergic to, or allergic, whatever the hell this is, having an inflammatory response to something called sulfites. And we had some apple cider that had sulfites in it. And that was really not good. Like, I was done for a month. That was the first time I talked.
Right. I'm going to interrupt it there.
Well,
so,
42, there was a couple of little cutaways in there. Are they things you've done?
They are this is a video as it is on YouTube. This isn't my video.
Did I see like a mushroom cloud? Yes,
because of the cider of doom, right? It will become clear. Right? So far he's talking about having a bit of a reaction to drinking a little bit of cider.
Right, a little bit of a reaction that set off a nuclear reaction.
Right. Now, see the manner in which he's delivering this? Would you agree that it's the same as everything else that he says? It's the same. He's not way off his baseline.
No, it's a good call, actually. It's a good call, yeah. Right. I see what you're saying.
Right, so this is his...
He could be talking about Jung.
Yeah,
right.
Okay,
His baseline is straight, yeah.
Right, no. Really hear this. This is where it gets interesting.
To Sam Harris.
You were done for a month.
Oh yeah, it took me out for a month. It was awful.
Really?
Yeah. So I would say, look,
so this is right before this whole truth conversation with Sam Harris that got stuck in the mud. During.
So I think the day I talked to Sam was like the worst day of my life. Not because of talking to Sam, but it was
just physical.
Oh Jesus, I was so dead. But I didn't want to not do it.
Apple cider. Like, what was it doing?
Sulfites in it.
What was it doing to you?
Oh, it produced an overwhelming sense of impending doom. And I seriously been overwhelming. Like, there's no way I could have lived like that if that would have lasted for. See, Michaela knew by that point that it would probably only last a month, and I was like,
a month?
Yeah,
from
a month.
Fucking cider.
Oh, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible?
I'll tell you how it's possible. You lay in bed, frozen in something approximating terror for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, not
and
good.
This is from fucking cider. From cider.
That's what we thought. Yeah. One of the things that both Michaela and I noticed.
My first question is, do you feel sorry for Joe Rogan?
My first question, I don't watch a lot of Joe Rogan, but I've never seen these cutaways. Is that a regular thing, or has someone else made this video?
What you're getting here is someone has clipped the Joe Rogan clip, and then they have put their cutaways in because
that's fair
enough. But my issue here is he's very clearly bullshitting. Joe Rogan's trying to figure out how to react to it, but he's bullshitting in the same way that he delivers all of his other facts.
I don't buy that non-sleeping thing. Yep. I mean, I've done about 8 days, but there's a time when your body just shuts you down and you have like REM. You're awake, but you have REM, so you're dreaming. And the idea that, did he say a month?
Yep, a full month, no sleep whatsoever.
No,
he would be dead.
Yeah, that's not real. It's very peculiar.
Billy's saying someone has added it. It's not. It's added in that there's a video. There's still pictures put in, but this audio is sound. It's that's the conversation that they had. There are some clips of this that are a little bit longer. I couldn't find the really good one. Is being Peterson's got that taken down. I'm presuming it was Peterson because a lot of his stuff disappears. But I don't know. My problem with this is that he's obviously lying. He obviously knows that he's lying. And there's a couple of things that he does in there that he does quite often where he's getting a little bit of pushback or a question, because Joe Rogan's obviously, how the fuck do you live without sleeping? And then he changes tack and brings in Michaela and whatnot. But it's just...
I was very suspicious about his whole Xanax addiction. That didn't... I know a fair amount about benzos and Xanax. And he was choosing to take them because he liked them. The fact that he blamed his wife's cancer on him choosing to take a sedative. I mean, take a sedative if you want. But then he talked about going to all these different places, and he talked about this thing, and I always forget it. It's called something like it's a response where he says that the Xanax is a brand name for alprazolam. Yeah. And he talks about having a certain type of response to it. Paradoxical response. That's the phrase. Now, that isn't a thing. What that is, right. So when you I started taking, remember when I fell asleep on a stream and all that?
Yes.
When you take any benzodiazepine, they will put you to sleep. They will, because they're a sedative.
Yeah.
But if you're not actually tired and you're stressed, which is different, you might not be doing a lot of work. You might, especially not like physical labor, but you're stressed as fuck. Your wife's very sick. I get that, blah, blah, blah. What happens is you take them they remove the stress. You know, chemically you can't feel the stress, but then what happens is you're like, oh, this is fucking lovely. I'll stay up all night on this. And I would put everything I own, and this isn't a judgment of Jordan Peterson, I'd put everything I own that he's still on them. Because when he talks about, that's my girlfriend, I'll just tell her I'm streaming. When he talks about, he still has, oh, hang on, mate. Let me just.
Right. I'll talk. You deal with that, Mrs.
Streaming. Okay. All right. I love you, darling. Good night, love. I love you. Bye, darling. Good luck for video. Thank you. Good luck for game. Hey. Bye. Oh, right. So I don't care if someone wants to take drugs, but as far as I know, he's never spoken about how he actually got his words cured. And that's because I don't think he got, well, I don't believe in addiction anyway.
He's still on them.
Yeah, he's being maintained. A benzo withdrawal is fucking brutal. Like, you breathe electricity, you see sounds, you get synesthesia, and it's not pleasant, which is weird because on acid it's quite nice. But I think every time they tried to taper him, it got to the bit where it starts becoming hard work, and he just went, I can't do it. So they said, okay, here, get back on them. And then in the end, the doctor said to him, just stay on them. And that's what he's decided to do.
Have you factored in that he was on them from he was 20?
I don't know anything about this. This is amazing.
Right, well...
No, but hang on, 42, I do want to say this. I don't judge anyone for choosing to take drugs. My point is the way he's been blatantly deceptive about the way to maintain his character and his tidy your room up first, look after, you can't change the world until you've tidied your room up. Okay, well, maybe look a bit closer to home, Jordan, tidy up your pill cabinet. I'm also not saying he should get off them, but I think to maintain the character that he's selling, and again, I'm not judging anyone earning a living, but to maintain that character, I feel like he was very deceptive. He's given the impression that he's benzo free.
The other thing that doesn't help is, see his Cran Act, whenever he got called out on it, whenever that's the fourth or fifth time you've seen him pull that exact same Cran Act.
And also, a side effect of benzo dependence is emotional, being very emotional at very little. You cry all the time.
It's also a sign of a feminine character that is losing an argument, or not even an argument, needs something to go their way, and it's a go-to empathy creator.
And men naturally will calm down and offer some kind of compassion in that situation. So let's just go back. You reckon? I mean, I reckon this is a long thing, do you? I think
this cider story and the way he's delivering that, I think that's a level of integrity he has in everything he's ever done. But he says in his book, chapter 3, that he is a compulsive liar, but he can normally ferret out the lie.
Now, we all lie. We all lie.
Fuck, see a world where people didn't lie? It would be carnage.
Yeah. Lying is almost part of the Venn diagram of politeness and tact.
Yeah.
So you make a good point there. But 42, what I want, and I know I keep moving it, but you know what it's like streaming. I've got to try and keep a certain direction.
I wanted to get that out more for
no, you've done well. It's important. I think it's important that we understood that part.
Right. So now I'm going to pull up a clip. I'm going to grab this clip. a bit where he's talking about marriage and separation, divorce, and all that sort of stuff. Actually, hold on. Yep, that is the one we'll do next.
42. Can I just ask you before we watch the next clip? Because since you sort of lit the fuse for me to have a little look, and sometimes you just need someone to say, yeah, you ain't thinking enough about this, which is what I got from you. You didn't say it like that, and it was a positive thing. I like being told I'm wrong. I learn, but it's almost, well, not almost like it is. It is. There's a disconnect between how he says people should be and how he is. Now, that's not necessarily a problem, because you could have a therapist. He's a fantastic therapist,
but he misses the important bit, because he'll say, "This is how." He might say, "This is how I am," or "This is how you should be," but he never says that I am trying to move towards where he wants to be. Do you know what I mean? There's an absence of the aspiration.
That conversation is absent. When you're given nothing, you assume he's already made that leap.
Yeah, and to be totally fair, like when I was doing all that stuff in the men's rights stuff and whatnot, I was guzzling 4 liters of cider a day. I'm currently not.
Well done.
Right, but I never really made it public knowledge that I was guzzling that amount of alcohol, and I therefore didn't make it very public that I'm now not guzzling all that alcohol. But you can do that. You can just go. What Peterson could have done with his drugs is like, blah, 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 that's me. That's whatever. It doesn't really affect the issue. I'm just not going to talk about that bit. But he doesn't. He talks about it, but he does it sort of very strangely.
Yeah, and it's deceptive. That's what I feel about it. So why? So I'm assuming the men's rights. What do you want me to call them? MRA or
MRMs? Just MRAs, men's rights, whatever.
MRAs, right? So was there a debate or anything, or was it like, this bloke is dangerous, this bloke is a plant, this bloke is controlled opposition, or was it like, I mean,
the other thing is in that thing, there's no hive mind. You've got round about, I would say, 70% dislike him, 30% like him. Amongst the people at the very top end that are actually doing shit. Amongst the very top end, that's closer to 90% dislike, 10% like. Whenever you go down into the comment section, it's probably split about 50-50.
See, the point that Moody Edge has said what I just touched on a while back. Like, you might have, I don't know, an alcohol problem.
Yep.
And so might your therapist. But
yes.
He might be an amazing therapist, and he might still get you off booze. So there's no argument that you can't really argue that Jordan Peterson didn't mobilize an atomized, demoralized group of
hold on
people. That happened.
I want to address this question from Gregor comment. He says hardcore MRAs don't like him because he says men need to get their shit together. Do you know what? Hang on.
Whoa. I want to put it on the screen because no one can hear what you're saying. No one knows what you say.
Hardcore MRAs don't like him.
Yep.
Right, okay. To be totally honest with you, the people that are going to get on your back most about getting your shit together or if you want to be more polite, get your poop in a group, are going to be men's rights activists or advocates. Before you start to improve the world, you've got to improve yourself. We do a shitload of stuff with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We talk about getting you to the best version of you that you can be. And the other thing is, one of the if you're new coming into the men's rights movement, the first thing that you're going to get hit with is get that victim mentality out of here. Or get that victim. By the way, I had whenever I escaped from the witch, I spent a couple of years where don't like the term survivor, don't like the term victim. But it was only whenever I got involved with the men's rights movement, I got to the correct terminology for someone that has lived through an abusive relationship, which is a fucking volunteer. Because anybody that's been in an abusive relationship for more than 3 months, they volunteered for the rest of it.
Unless you're a child, but I agree
yes,
with you. Yeah.
Right. In adulthood, right?
Yeah.
Children don't have the choice, but you,
I'm with you on that, because what tends to happen psychoanalytically anyway is unresolved childhood traumas will continue to make themselves feel present. You'll almost certainly, you know, the story I tell all the time when a therapist said to me, I'll put you in a room of 50 women. Within 5 minutes, you'll be chatting up the one that's going to do you the most damage. And that's what unresolved traumas tend to do. You tend to find someone who will allow you, and that's a weird angle when you're looking at abuse, who will allow you to act those traumas out. So I totally understand what you mean by volunteer. You know, for the first couple of months or weeks or events, it could just, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
But after, I mean, you know, 3 months, 4 months, 3 weeks, whatever. Different people. But if you know what's happening and you're not choosing to leave, I think volunteers are a great phrase and challenging as well, because I know blokes who've volunteered for their whole life.
Yeah.
You know, they just fucking take it.
Yeah. The other thing is getting the right advice. Oh, fuck, Jack Murphy, wanker. Same Boston thing. The other thing about that is it's also getting these people to the better advice to get them to move on. Because a lot of people are devoid of that. You know.
And also part of that volunteering is handing over your agency anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
that's exactly it.
Yeah. So let's get into the what I would consider on the little I know about what you've told me, because Blogs the Niggler here, who I think has set up a Twitter account called the Niggler. I can't be sure, but I saw someone X'd me today, and it was the Niggler. I mean, I don't know, but this is where it gets difficult, Bill. Bill says, I don't care, I just take the good bits. He might be a lying, and I suppose he meant to say bastard or whatever. But what 42 has said to me in regards of Andrew Tate was, these people destroy movements, Bill. You know, you might say, well, I think Jordan Peterson has said some really interesting, really positive things. He said some things that I've thought, oh yeah, I can work with that. That's increased my intelligence and my ability to run my life. But when I done my Andrew Tate reaction, 42 said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it was something along the lines of, the likes of Andrew Tate and his brother and Jordan Peterson are getting in the way of the men's rights act, the MRAs, and the people they need to talk to. And when there's red flags, you've got a problem. So I think that's what 42.
The next clip we're bringing up is where he talks about marriage and stuff. We're starting to actually get into proper issues.
Okay.
We'll listen to a bit of what he says, and I'll tell you why I think there's a better way. Okay. Let's see if I can find this. Present, share screen. No.
That's actually why people get married.
Yep, that up it is.
You know, just so you know. Because this is built into marital vows. I'm not leaving. Ever, no matter what. It's like, okay, well, that definitely puts a boundary around our arguments, right? Because I can't say every time you manifest one of your flaws, which you're likely to do just as often as me, well, enough of this. It's like that.
Right, I've stopped it there. The idea that once you've put a ring on somebody's finger, that you're in that for life and there is no other way going forward or back, that to me is incredibly dangerous. And if you've made a mistake at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and married the wrong person, I don't care if you're a man, I don't care if you're a woman. If you've then had a realization that I made a mistake here and I married the wrong person and I should not be married to this person, you need to fucking leave.
Yeah.
And taking that option off the table also enables shitty behavior by people who have you trapped. John Manning, it is all about opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that Peterson's wrong. What I'm saying is, in my humble point of view,
42, you don't have to answer that.
Yep,
John,
no.
what you just said is just an opinion. So, okay, cool. The thing that I don't like about what Peterson just said then is that, I mean, I haven't seen the rest of this clip, but, and I may well be proved wrong, but he assumes a certain level of equality in that flaw. You know, she's going to express flaws. I'm going to express flaws, but we're married, so we'll deal with that. But you know that, okay, if it was like that, but if those flaws were things like she's going to continually sexually humiliate you, or or you're going to do that to her, or really damaging things, whereas your flaws might be you work too much, or you're not very good socially, and that's not an equal kind of one's perfect.
It's the absence of a graduation. You know, there should be, and don't get me wrong, I'm not one that's saying any however long your relationship's been, the first sign of problems you fucking dump and run. I don't think that's right. But I also don't think having the polar opposite of that, where that's it, you've made your decision at that age and that day, and that's you for the rest of your life. I think that is very dangerous.
You know, I was with this girl, and after about 2 months of being with her, I realized I was on suicide watch. And she made it very clear, you leave me, I'll kill myself.
Yeah.
And I was only a young man, 24. She was putting sulfate in my morning breakfast. I was doing it anyway myself at the weekend, but I wasn't. Tuesday morning, I didn't really want 1/4 ounce of speed. And she, she was barking mad. And but she had this, she told her friends, because they'd come to me, that she wasn't going to kill herself because I left her. She's going to kill herself because I damaged her so much that the only thing keeping her going is the chance that there might be some redemption where I apologize for all the bad things I've done. And, it took a friend to tell me. He just said, what, you leave her, she kills herself? I went, yeah. He said, I've never seen you so skittish, so nervous. This isn't you. He said, I've got a suggestion. Leave her, let her kill herself, and get on with your life. And it was like
that is good advice.
yeah. Because he said, because where does this end? Where does this go? You haven't done anything wrong, so it's not like you can stop doing what you're not doing wrong.
Yeah, because they've invented the fault.
Yep.
So the fault, even if you fix the fault that they invented, they'll just invent another one. It's going to go on forever. And at that time, you need to chop that off and just go, we're going our separate ways. You can't. And what I would say to anybody that's in that position where they've got a partner that's saying they're going to injure themselves if they leave, I would say leave, but phone the police and say, here's the crack.
Yeah.
I'm in a relationship with X person. I don't want to be in that relationship. I'm leaving. They have told me they're going to damage themselves.
They threaten self-harm,
Yeah, could you please do a health and welfare check and then get on with your life?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, let it run. Let's go.
Yep. Here we go. Next bit.
That's horrible, man. If your whole life is, well, every time you get out of line, I'm out of here. It's like, how the hell are you? First of all, you're not going to admit to ever doing anything wrong. Second, you're going to be you're like a scared cat the entire relationship because, well, who knows? It could just come to an end at any moment. It's like, people say, well, if the possibility of divorce is open, it makes you free. It's like, yeah, that's what you want. You want to be free, eh? Really? Really? So you can't predict anything. That's what you're after. It's a vow. And it says, look, I know that you're trouble. Me too. So we won't leave, no matter what happens. Well, that's a hell of a vow, but that's why it's a vow, right? That's why you take it in front of a bunch of people. That's why it's supposed to be a sacred act. It's like, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? Everything is mutable and changeable at any moment. Well, go ahead. You live your life like that and see what you're like when you're 50. Jesus, it's dismal. 2 or 3 divorces, your family's fragmented, you've got no continuity of narrative. It's not good for the kids, not by any stretch of the imagination. And so it's a form of voluntary enslavement, I suppose, but it's also equivalent to the adoption of a responsibility. And there's more to it than that. If you can't run away, then you can solve your problems.
It's almost like you found the darkest possible clip of Jordan Peterson. That is actually quite frightened me, what he's just said there.
Right.
And I've got a couple of questions for you. How does he know? He said a few things that he can't know because we know he hasn't been through them. But also, when he says it's not good for the kids, no, leave those kids in a really dysfunctional family because that will be good for them. Yeah, they'll grow up knowing that, just put up with any old shit forever because you signed a book in a church once. Yeah, that's
and he also goes to the very worst case scenarios. There's no middle ground, and he never even talks about the middle ground, and he doesn't segregate between two people that are married and are having an argument for a day that's going to last a day. And
at 42, hang on a minute. Jedi Monk agrees with him. Can you explain why? I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. I'd just be interested to know why. Why you'd want a couple who don't want to be with each other to stay with each other. Go on, 42. Carry on.
everything he talks about here is like a worst case scenario, but life's not like that. The majority of us have a middling type existence for most of the time. And while the advice he's talking about could be good and positive for people that have a functional relationship and they have that one disagreement that they have every 3 fucking years.
Yeah.
That, okay, yes, you stay and you work through that shit. You figure out what you did wrong.
Yeah, like Grego says, he's saying don't be dysfunctional, work not to be in that hole. But Grego, sometimes in relationships, you've got to have both sides want to do that. And some relationships aren't that healthy. A lot of them aren't that healthy. One person wants to destroy the other person. It's the only reason they're there. And I've been through that. And I know that 42's been through that. And
the majority of the men coming to Peterson's stuff do so because they're already in the shit. And his advice to them about being in the shit in a shitty relationship is work harder, be better.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can work as hard, be better all you want. It's not going to change shit, and you need to cut and run.
Jedi Monk says, otherwise, what's the point in the first place? Well, and listen, because we're talking about men's rights here, it does sound, a lot of the conversations and examples we're giving are men being abused by women, and that's not my point here. It's just the person we're talking about. But women in relationships, and I can only talk about my experiences, and I haven't had any male sexual partners. Well, not that I could choose to remember. They do the perfect girlfriend trick, and that can go on from anywhere between 2 months to a year. That can go on from meeting them in a bar to marriage to having children, and then once the claws are in, that's when they start acting out. Yeah. So when you say what's the point in the first place? Well, because marriage is a good thing. It can be a wonderful institution, and it is good for children. But people aren't perfect, and so you shouldn't. I think 42's point is on point, because you shouldn't just put up with it and stick with it. Jordan Peterson hasn't actually said why. His only reason is because you made a vow.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm going to make another one now. I'm leaving you, you lunatic.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm going to play this on for another little bit. Okay. I should have put the other video up first, but we're here now.
Because it might be, okay, well, I'm stuck with you. So how about we fix things? Because the alternative is we're going to be in a boxing match for the next 40 years. That's the alternative. So, and you think you're going to fix problems without something like that hanging over your head? There isn't a chance. You'll just avoid them, because that's what people do. It's really hard to solve problems, especially in a relationship. We're having a fight and I find out that it's, because you were abused by your uncle when you were 5 or some goddamn thing. It's like, it's very frequent that sort of thing happens. There's your partner's, manifesting some weird anomalous behavior. You just can't make heads or tails of it. It doesn't seem related to what you're doing at all. They don't want to talk about it. And so as soon as you bring it up, they get mad. And then you bring it up again, they even get madder, and they tell you that they're not going to talk about that or they're going to leave. And so maybe you're really, really persistent because you're kind of a son of a bitch, and then they break down and cry. And then they have this horrible memory that comes flooding forward that's completely, you don't know what to do with it, and then you have to sort it out. It's like, you think you're going to do that unless there's a good reason?
Right. No.
Just leave. He said, you're going to be doing this for 45 years. No, just get a divorce.
Yeah. Well, the other thing he's done here is, he's gendered this in that it's obviously the man that's that's being the son of a bitch, and it's obviously the woman that has had some childhood trauma. Now, percentage of people with childhood traumas isn't really that. There are plenty of people who've had them, but it's not the norm, right? But he's talking as if that is what causes all of these problems. And the other thing is, Chris, he says, I've no it. If your partner says they were abused whenever they're a child, you don't know what to do with it. I'm guessing that you might have an idea that if your partner tells you that, maybe meet it with compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you maybe I don't know, tell them that they don't need to worry about that because you're not going to let anything like that happen to them again. Perhaps.
And it will express itself symbolically, and you'll learn to read those signs, and you could possibly get some help.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very black and white situation he's created here, and I just don't think it has to be like that. He's made a problem out of a solution.
Yeah. Well, I also think that at the start of that sentence, he had no idea where the end of it was. And
that'll be the Alprazolam.
Yeah, and he went in a bit of a ramble. But the other thing is, I had a case where he says, right, they've said this about their unresolved trauma. You don't know what to do about it. So I had a case where somebody said to me, their friend was having issues, their girlfriend was talking about them, totally out of character. And I says, right, well, give me their Facebook and whatnot. I went along and talked to him for about 45 minutes. Turns out that he had been getting angry and whatnot. Went through his childhood, everything, blah, 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 nothing. And I says, right, well, first thing is you are getting angry, so you need to move out before this gets to something dangerous. But there's something that's causing this. You haven't told me what it is. I'll help you with it. And then 30 seconds later, I'm in this bloke's living room, guy in his mid-50s. And he starts saying, well, there was this one thing whenever I was 14, 15. I got in me a bad crowd. I was getting in trouble, and the paramilitaries come around and said that, told my parents if they didn't get me to stop doing what I was doing, they were going to stop them. So my parents sent me to a youth group, and the leader of the youth group sexually abused them. And within about half a second, I figured out what you need to do with somebody that's just expressed that for the first time, that's fighting back tears. You know, so I think he's talking bullshit whenever he says that you don't know how to deal with that. Because what I did was set my coffee cup down, give him a bear hug, and told him we're going to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
You know, it's eventually we did. He went, he reported to the police, offered to go with him. Said he was going to do it on his own, went and did it on his own. And about 6 months later, got a message from him that he was moving back in with his partner again and everything was fine. You know, it's...
Well, you've got to remember that Peterson is also in the commercialization of human compassion industry.
Yeah.
He, you know, for a living, well, probably not anymore because of his book sales, but he's a clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
You know, you've only got to go back 100 years when people went to families, communities to sort these things out. And it suddenly doesn't come as a surprise to me that he's got this sort of outlook that if you've had problems, well, you've got to just deal with it with your wife. But you're a professional clinical psychologist. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Sorry, Brad. No, your cousin didn't. But yeah, that's exactly it. He is. He's a professional, and to give people the advice of maybe meet people that have gone through some form of problem with compassion, that might hurt his book sales. I don't know.
All right, 42. Have you got more on this clip?
Yes, there is. Sorry.
No, you're all right. You got nothing to apologise about. It's going great.
No, I've fucked up which tab it's on. I've got Jordan Peterson. So right, hold on. All right, there's the one.
You have to know, we better sort this out, or we're going to be carrying it around for the next 40 years. That maybe is enough motivation so you'll actually try hard to solve a problem. It's a lot easier to say, well, sorry, we're not going there. But then, good, you'll have it every day, every goddamn day for the rest of your life. See, there's some additional problems with divorce that people...
Right.
Hang on a minute. Is he saying that if you don't sort out your problems in your marriage,
and you can have them every day,
that the only option is to stay in the marriage? Now, listen, I do think that couples can work things out between themselves that go back to childhood problems, because that's how we're made and that's who we are. But there are also times when it ain't going to work. You know, that both parts of the couple haven't got the same agenda. One person is seeking to destroy, and as you said, 42, the other person might be a volunteer for that, because that's how they act out their issues. So in that situation, you're not going to work it out with your spouse. You might be able to take 5 years off, go and see someone, get some help, talk to friends or whatever, and then weirdly give it another go. But I'm only trying to cut him a bit of slack. But the fact that you just decide that this marriage isn't working, we've given it a good 5-10 years, and we're both shitter than we were in the first year, you're not going to go through it every day. That's ridiculous. I'll tell you what, you leave that relationship, I bet that first day is going to be like heaven. You'll be like, oh, thank fuck, I haven't got to worry about all that fucking madness. Now, I'm not saying that the problem's gone. You know, you're still carrying around issues. You're still carrying around traumas. And I would advise anyone carrying around traumas, which is most of us, at different levels, to try and get them sorted out. But marriage isn't the only option available.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it's mad. The other one, I'm going to pull up the clip that I intended to put up first.
Right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to just do the super chat.
Yes, you do super chats. I'll get the next clip ready. The one about
Anglo-Saxon, Ayrton Senna, happy belated birthday. Thank you, Anglo, lovely. Brian Ravenscroft's been on the firm for 43 months. Got to go to work soon, night shift. You'll be all right. Get your AirPods in and pull your hair over the... I've met Brian Ravenscroft. He hasn't got hair to pull over his AirPods, so you're in trouble there. Dave's Waffle House has dropped a super sticker in. Nice one, Dave. Anglo has dropped another Ayrton Senna. Loving it. Ribeye steak on me or Water Buffalo Fund. Up to you. I'll split it between the two. Packer, I saw this one earlier. It did tickle me. He's put £2 in. We All Lie. Great show, by the way. Yeah, good call, good call. Stuart G with his Thai bar. Is Jordan Peterson just there to make mental health and mind control issues look cool? Well, Stuart, I don't know if you've been watching my shows with Jeffrey Sharla. I don't believe in mental illness. So this is all getting very complicated for me. But it's a fair point, you know. Like at the beginning of the stream when I said, and it was quite flippant, that he's probably got a stylist, and 42 jumped in and said, "Oh, without a doubt." You know, 42 outright believes that this is a setup. What's the word? What's it called? Almost a plant.
Well, and
hang on. Let me get through these. Nice one, Stuart. Brad James said Chris saw a sulfate-induced Hugh cow with her. I tell you what, Hugh Cow's not my kind of thing, but a bit of sulfate, most things are. So, you know, if I was a bit younger, I'd give it a go. Anglo's dropped another Ayrton Senna. I think I know what the outro tune will be. Right up my street, this stream. I've been aware of Peterson for years. Never impressed me. Nice one, Anglo. Brad James drops a deuce. 42. Did my cousin get in touch with you? I think you've already answered that one. Anglo's dropped another. I thought you were working. He says, seen George Galloway getting stick for saying he wants his children taught that a mother and a father and family is the... Hang on, it's a question. Seen George Galloway getting stick for saying he wants his children taught that a mother and father and family is the correct thing, Chris? I haven't seen that, but I do believe a mother and a father is a good situation for a child. Yeah,
it was the legal definition until relatively recently. The legal definition of a family was father and mother with children. Then, because of the gay marriage thing, that had to change to parents with children, and the next stage along that will be caregivers and children.
Yeah, that gives that, but makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah, because the big thing was getting rid of mother and father, because that has a clinical definition.
Let me do Brad's last one and then we're done. Thank you, Anglo. Ridiculously, and everyone who's donated. Brad drops a lady. It's the first time I've said that about you, Brad. When couples that have been married for 70 years are interviewed and they ask what their secret is, they almost always say compromise. Yeah, and you know, it's a good comment, Brad, because I always have this debate with Mumford, Bally G. We call it the Great Debate, because Mumford wants to fuck loads of birds, as I used to, you know, in my 40s when I did. But I also have had long-term girlfriends since I was 16. 8 years, 2 years, 11 years, 2 years, 6 years, 6 years, something like that. But I've cheated on quite a lot of them, obviously. You can't have that and that. But Mumford says, but I want a girlfriend, but I want to fuck loads of birds. I said, well, you can find a girlfriend who will do that. I've had 2 that did do that. I said, but you can't have everything in life. If you want the intimacy of a girlfriend, you can't always have the freedom to fuck loads of women, because...
Well, I've got a game changer for him.
You've got a what?
I've got a game changer for him.
Go on then.
Next time you have that conversation, suggest to him that he fucks the same girl in different ways.
Well, that is the issue. And I won't talk about Paul exclusively, because I've had this with loads of mates. All my long-term relationships, the sex has got better.
Yes.
And better and better. Because from the outset, I've been honest and I've told them to be honest. What do you like? What do you want? What would you really like? And then you develop an honest sexual relationship. Then I've got mates who are like, you know, I talk about sex and they go, you talk about sex a lot, don't you? I go, well, I am a bloke. And they go, I haven't had sex in about 6 years. I'm like, why the fuck not? And they're like, I'm married. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't, what? And it's because they don't communicate. They get the novelty fuck of a new woman at the beginning. Oh, she's yielding. I can fuck her. Oh, we can do this. We can do this. And then it's like, I'd really like to do this, but she's my wife. And, you know, you save that sort of thing for one night stands and prostitutes. And they don't actually do what a relationship is for. A relationship is to get closer and more intimate as it develops. This, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole I'm married, I don't have sex thing has been some kind of psyop on Western, because for me it's the other way round. When I met I'm not going to use my current girlfriend because she's still with me, but the girl I was with for, let's just say, one of the other ones, at the beginning, we were just humping. We were humping. Yep. By the end, by 8 years later, our sex life took about an hour and a half to get ready.
Yep.
and it was amazing. And it was just, and we always, it was always about, do not hide something you want to do. I've got limits, and I'll explain why, not to you lot, but I'll explain why I've got those. But if we're going to stay together, our sex life has got to continue to develop until, of course, we get to about 60, and then. No.
Well, Chris, all I can tell you about that is I'm currently 57, and it's not stopping at 60, mate.
No, I know, but I just want to thank everyone for the super chats. Much appreciated.
Oh, yeah. By the way, on the subject of super chats, as all you scrubs know, I don't have monetization on my channel. I don't have super chats. I don't have anything. So any of you people that are thinking, I would super chat the 42 if I had the opportunity. Fucking super chat them in here now. And MG, it's not stopping.
I like the sound of this. I like the sound of this guest.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say that on the other two streams?
Yeah. No. Get your super chats in.
There you go. Right, come on, 42. Let's get into the guts. I still feel like I want to know, and maybe you're getting there. And I've got time. I'm not rushing things, but I want you to get to the bit where what you told. I don't want to rush you to it, but let's have that direction to the bit you said about Andrew Tate, that these figures.
Right.
You just said they're in the way. They're in the way of.
They are in the way. Anecdotally, whenever Peterson arrived, for some unknown reason, I don't know why, but every time my autoplay put on a new video on YouTube, the Jordan Peterson videos that I did not watch, it was always a long Jordan Peterson video that came on after. They just appeared. It was very heavily promoted through YouTube. And if it's happening to me, it's happening to everybody.
42. Are you saying, and I know you haven't, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you suggesting that Jordan Peterson is an organic phenomena that just so happens to cause problems?
No.
Or are you suggesting that this has been organized with the intention of causing the problems you suggested it as, i.e. putting a wall in between people who actually want to help young men and the young men?
If I was to put it into a timeline, I would say the first event that happened was Jordan Peterson got involved with the United Nations in writing the foreword for Agenda 21.
It's not a good look, is it?
Right.
I think that's the definition of bad optics.
Right. On his interview about that has now been removed from YouTube. What he said with is, in Agenda 21 and writing the foreword, talking about himself, I am tasked with changing the thinking of millions of young men. Then after the Agenda 21 thing, he had the video clip that went viral. And then he became like herpes. And you just couldn't get rid of him off any fucking feed.
Now, you said to me that something that I found really interesting. That's interesting from Wolfie. That's kind of what we're talking about. You said, Wolfie said, I just assume everything is deliberate now. Yep. He's promoted for a reason.
Yeah.
Something you said to me is So we take Cassie J's film, The Red Pill.
Yep.
That was a real. I found it. I thought it was a good documentary. I learned a lot about the MRAs. I didn't learn a lot about feminism because I knew they were idiots anyway. They come across terribly in that. But she couldn't put that in theaters because people were threatening to bomb them. That, as you told me, they had to do that. Ring this number, meet under this bridge, get in this coach, ring this number, book 4 different theaters so that the people didn't know what one it was. But you said to me that JP, his tours, they just flow like clockwork.
Yep.
There's no problems. Now, can you say that as a fact?
Yep. I can say it as a fact. The one place he had problems was Australia, and that was to do with the fact that he turned up at the same time as Lauren Sullivan and Stefan Molyneux.
That's right. I remember Stefan Molyneux and what's her name? Lauren Sullivan. That's it.
Right.
Lauren
Well, I'm going to put I'm going to see the thing I've just shared.
Yeah.
Stick that up on the screen.
It's there.
Right. Okay. Now I can move that along a little. This is a program called Diverting Hate. Misogyny, extremism, the manosphere, mainstream social media. This is a biannual report, and it's done by, if I scroll down, hold on. This project is funded by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Center for Prevention Programs, and it's done in conjunction with Midway and McCain Institute. Right? And we can take that down. I can take that down again. How that program works is they're going to.
Whoa. What is that? What is that? What is that?
It's a program run by the American Department for Homeland Security that puts advertisements and puts advertisements on men's rights videos to divert people away to different content.
That is a literal psyop.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's a literal psyop with between the Department of Homeland Security and Middlebury University and McCain Institute, and this has been rolling for 3 or 4 years. It's called Diverting Hate. Aaron Clary got called out on their latest list of people. It's similar to what Hope Not Hate do, but their whole method of getting people away from the bad nasty is to give people advertisements for things like the Good Man Project and other ones that are feminist based.
I'm going to read you. This is a US government Department of Homeland Security official website.
Yep.
What is the Department of Homeland Security for? I typed into Google, what is the DHS role, right? Now, 42 has just showed us that the Department of Homeland Security it's called Diverting Hate. So they're putting adverts in MRA material to get people to go and watch that instead, right? This is what the Department of Homeland Security say they do. Help when disaster strikes, protect the economy, protect US borders, secure cyberspace, and stopping terrorism.
Yep.
Where's the bit in there about telling not letting people speak to teenagers?
Yeah.
I mean, the Department of Homeland Security, that's a big deal. Do you know anything about that other organization? I've never heard of them that were part of that Diverting Hate thing.
Right, there's 2 universities in the Department of Homeland Security. Actually, I've put that share up again. If you can put that up, you've got a picture of Andrew Tate, and they're putting in adverts for Men Alive, Every Man, Mankind Project. These are all feminist-run programs, and this where they've got to now is we know these people exist on the internet, so what we'll do is we'll flood them with advertisements for these people and try to push them over that direction. Might have been an idea to actually just directly speak to the men themselves, or possibly talk to people in the red pill community that actually know that audience. But so that's where we're at now in full view. Were they a few years ago getting YouTube to change their feed of what people are going to be recommended? Of course they fucking were. And it is all connected.
Wow.
Hope.
I'm just looking at a Department of Homeland Security colouring book, and I'm not joking. There's a DHS colouring book, and it almost looks like Trump's America. There's one here. I don't know whether this will screw you up here or whether it won't let me do it.
Right, you'll need to take my one down first.
Oh, apparently not. No, yours is still there. That's quite sweet. Look at this one, people. With honor, this is the Department of Homeland. I'm sorry to tangent slightly, but this is funny. With honor and integrity, we will safeguard the American people, our homeland, and our values. There was another funny one, actually. Hang on. That's just science. Look at this one. What is that one? What is it? Fingerprint, shake hands, money.
Yeah. Encryption.
Top secret.
Yeah.
Imagine who'd give this to their kids. Look, there's a couple.
It's not some far right exercise activity.
No, that's some geezer getting pegged. Look at his wife sort of going, "Oh, not again," and he's like, "Oh, longer, deeper, harder." We got this one here. Okay, what's that? Some kind of like
biohazard,
COVID colouring in. Well, that's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. A TSA dog. Yeah, sorry, mate. I'll get rid of that one and put your one back up.
Yeah, so no, you don't. What we'll go into next is the video about how Jordan Peterson talks about sacrifice.
Okay.
Because the two really huge problems is advice about marriage. I would say if you are going to get married, wait quite a while before you do it and have a good think about it.
Agreed.
To be fair, if you'd asked me my views about marriage 9 years ago, I would have told you that my standard answer to being asked about gay marriage is, well, I would ban fucking straight marriage as well because the contract shit. I've been with Emma G for about 8 years, and my stance on things like that might have softened somewhat. So my big issues with Peterson are his attitudes about marriage and it being a one-way thing, and the other one being his attitude about sacrifice, because I think he's got it a bit wrong.
Before we get on to that, one of the weird things when I was the only straight in the village, all the gays in Soho were against gay marriage. They were like, why do we want to get married? It's not a gay thing. We don't. It's not. Listen, 42. I want you, unless you're building up to it. I want you to. If you're building up to it, you don't have to do this. Right. But I want you to give me. I want you to tell me whether you're telling me. I know that's a bit of an odd way of phrasing it. That Jordan Peterson is an organized plant to do the damage he's doing to the MRAs.
Yes, and he's not just for doing it to the MRAs. He's not doing it to the MRAs in particular. He's doing it to young men.
And would you have any, not necessarily evidence, but maybe just an idea?
Well,
who is behind this organization that has him as a spokesman?
The United Nations.
Wow.
The United Nations is at the top of it.
You didn't even have to think about that.
No.
So hang on. So Jordan Peterson is a United Nations agent.
Yeah. Whether or not they're finished with him and done with him by now, I don't know. But what happened? Well, Jordan Peterson did the thing for the United Nations for Agenda 21. Then he became famous with a lot of help. And what he's doing is drive it. All his advice to young men is to get on to the provide and protect plantation, right? Because as it stands at the minute, provide and protect was a good strategy for men whenever that was reciprocated. But that has not been the case for a very, very long time.
No, it's almost like they've maintained the male social role, but the female social role has changed radically.
Well, it's gone.
It
has clean gone. The female end of the social contract is gone, and it's not coming back anytime soon. With the exception of individual women who just happen to be that way. And there are parts of the world where you go where they still are very traditional.
I think that's a bit unfair on women. I don't think only women who happen to be like that. You know, there's plenty of women who've looked into this stuff and they've realised that they've been absolutely shafted by, for instance, feminism. 42, what do you make of John's comment? He says, I feel 42 is coming from a very jaded starting point and isn't doing the MRAs any favours, to be honest.
Well, that's his opinion and he's fucking entitled to it.
I mean, I think 42 has earned his stripes with the MRA.
The thing, I don't feel jaded with the men's rights movement. I feel jaded with the political system, which is different.
Yeah.
I think that we need currently, I think the only strategy we have for making change at governmental level is by putting people like us into the very bottom of the civil service and having them work their way up to a job at the top. Because in all the conversation, Charles Kenwright and the MRA is a men's rights advocate. So all the conversations I've had with civil servants.
Hello, Charlie.
And there are many. Nobody that's sat the other side of the table for me has disagreed with anything I'd said. But whenever it comes to the actual implementation of services, they don't go the way that they're supposed to. And that's happening from people above them. And I had went through the whole...
Oh, you've gone.
Right, no, right. Oh. No, I had a word block, right? So if you take it, for example, the person you're going to have access to is a bottom level civil servant. Right. So you can piss them off to the point where they have to say something to their boss. And then you can get them to piss off their boss and off to the point where they've got to say something to their boss.
Yeah.
But the people at the people at the top end of that civil service, they have zero fucks to give about what's right, proper, fit, or anything. They have their agenda that they want to implement, and they really don't care who the fuck they trample over on the way.
Right.
For example, if you go back to 2015 was the last year Belfast City Hall got illuminated blue for International Men's Day. And the year after that, the Belfast City Council brought in a new policy whereby the City Hall could not be illuminated for any events during the Christmas light period, which happens the week before International Men's Day. International Men's Day is the 19th of November. So you have Remembrance on the 11th of November. The Saturday after that, to turn on the lights, and then the lights stay white. So in order to get out of turning it blue for International Men's Day, they kept it white for the whole of the Christmas period, which also took out a transgender day of visibility that it always got illuminated for.
Okay.
So they were quite happy to lose the transgender day so long as it removed the International Men's Day.
Which is very weird because, you know, they're top of the fucking pile, aren't they? The trans people. Go on then, rock the next video.
Right. Yes. Jordan Peterson on Sacrifice. Where'd it go? Life is Suffering. That's the one.
Right, here it is.
Have you got that? Right.
I've got it.
Accident that the axiomatic Western individual is someone who was unfairly nailed to a cross and tortured. It's like, yes, right, exactly. So what do you do about that? Well, I thought about that for a long time too. It's like, well, you don't get together in a damn mob, because all that does is allow you to be as horrible as you could possibly imagine and suffer from none of the consequences. That's a bad idea. So how about we don't do that?
42. I didn't hear what he said. I didn't hear what he said. When we get together in a what?
In a mob.
Okay, so when you're nailed to a cross,
don't get together in a mob.
Don't form a community.
Yes.
It's an anti-collectivist position.
Yeah, but he also fails to say what type of mob or what type of people or whatever.
And it's a very interesting choice. Why mob?
Yeah.
Why didn't he just say, well, if you're nailed to your cross of life, and life's a struggle, we get that. Don't get together with friends and family. No, he went straight to mob.
Yeah.
That suggests that all collectivism is a mob. It's like, you know, and yet, didn't he once do something where he was talking about the collectivization of the Canadian natives, and he promoted it very.
Yeah,
I'm picking up very vague memories.
He would be fine with the Inuits collectivizing.
There you go. There you go.
But probably not with his audience in that auditorium, which is going to be white people.
But he has just told them that when life's difficult, you deal with it on your own.
Yeah, deal with it on your own.
Which is what Western Europe has failed to do. I mean, successfully failed to do, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to play this on a little bit.
Okay.
Right.
Well, there's a deep idea in the West, too. It's like, pick up your damn suffering and bear it. And try to be a good person so you don't make it worse. Well, that's a truth. You know, I read a lot about the terrible things that people have done to each other. You just cannot even imagine it. It's so awful.
Now,
hang on a minute.
Do you want me to take that back a bit?
No, I just because I'm seeing him in a very new light after what you told me on the Tate stream.
Yeah.
But if someone in a boozer said to me, listen, I've read books about what humans do to each other, you wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, you cheeky cunt, as if I haven't read a book. What?
Yeah,
it's like so arrogant.
But then again, he's also saying that there are good humans and bad humans, but he's classing everybody as humans all the same. There isn't a... While there's a story here about collecting a burn and what humans have done to each other, that's fine, but you're supposed to just know which group's which with the way he's talking. He's failing to give any descriptions of that. And the other thing is, while it is fit and proper for men and indeed women to pick up a burden and go with it, it can't just be any burden. It needs to be your burden. And see this just picking up a burden. That's how you end up with a Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know what I'm thinking now? I'm sorry I keep going back to it, but I don't know if anyone knows a YouTuber called Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
Interesting bloke. He made a video saying that Alexandra
Cortez.
Yeah, he said that she went to an audition, that the Social Democrats, which Cenk Uyghurs used to have something to, I think they chucked him out, but I don't know a lot about them. They auditioned for a person to front them, and
there's more than her.
So what was interesting about it was you get the idea that there was this barmaid who, what did she always talk about? Her auntie. She's got some weird Puerto Rican name for her that she always uses so that we know she's not white. And she, apparently, and it was a pretty convincing video. If you haven't watched it, people, just type in Mr. Reagan, and then when you get to his channel, search his channel for Alexandra Cortez. He's got a lot of evidence to show that the Social Democrats asked actors and actresses to come to an audition, and they didn't know what it was for, but it turned out to be a congressman or a congresswoman.
Yeah. And they have got, while Ocasio-Cortez is the famous one, there are at least 5 of them in there.
What, who went to auditions, who didn't necessarily share these political views, but would likely get paid. They get the minor celebrity.
They had to be on that. They had to be towards that side, but they didn't need to be intelligent.
That's quite apparent.
And they reckon there's at least 5 in, and that was the prototype, and they were hoping to do it with about 50 the next time round.
And you know, and that has happened politically before. But would you suggest that? I mean, if you're saying Jordan Peterson is a similar kind of plant, has he been controlled without knowing it, or did he go to some kind of audition, or is he aware of his?
Oh, well, in his interview, the one that's been struck off YouTube, he says that he's a media whore, and he says, quote, this is a paraphrase, so it's not going to be accurate, but it was to the words of, "I'm a media whore and I will say whatever gets me paid." And this is in an interview where he's talking about changing the thinking of millions of young men. So I think that what happened is he was approached. Will you do this? Will you get on board? This is the potential payday. This is the book deal. This is the blah, blah, blah. And then what you can make after that's yours. But the interesting thing is, because they made him so public with all of those opinions and that, well, he's stuck there. He can't move. He can't go back. Craig saying he shuns the media. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realise I was muted. So is he still working for an organisation? Is he still working? Working loosely.
I honestly don't know. I think what's happened is he got pulled in by the UN. He got used as a front for that. He moved himself forward, and I think that I don't think he goes and has meetings with him every so often, but I do think he would get the odd email if he's gone off track.
And I imagine he's signed about 50 NDAs on the way, so there's not much he can
and
do.
then he went from that to working for some media organization.
Is he part of Little Ben's crowd now?
I think he may be with Ben Shapiro's mob.
That's it.
Or something like that. I think that's where he went to. And his opinions have...
Daily Wire, is it?
Yeah, Daily Wire. I think that's where he is. But what I do know is that as he goes to work for different people, his opinions shuffle a little for the... shuffle a little towards whatever it is they think.
42, do you think that Jordan Peterson considers that this whole project, like, let's assume, and I think we have to assume because I certainly haven't got any evidence, I mean, and I don't know how much you have, do you think he thought that this is a good project? That the UN or whoever
he thought
allegedly came to him and said, "Listen, we're going to help you communicate good messages to males all around the globe."
I think what happened is they came to him and said, "We've got a message we want put out. We're going to push, lift, and uplift and promote whoever it is giving the message. Would you like to give the message?" I think he said yes before he even found out what the fuck it was, and he thinks it would be lucrative. Jordan Peterson's out to help one person. Jordan Peterson.
You certainly get that impression. I mean, I've got nothing against people earning a living. That doesn't but he's the one. Is his first book again?
He is the only He is pretty much the only person I know of that came through the men's rights movement and left it with more money than they arrived with.
I reckon he came through it with more money than the rest of them have got between them.
Yeah, put it this way: see to shake that fucking weasel's hand after a show and get and get him to sign the copy of the book that you've brought along. That's £100.
Hang on, you've already bought the book,
right? You've bought the book
after the show. There's
right. You've paid the 70 or 80 quid for the ticket.
So you're already at $100, and then they want another 100, so that you can shake his hand for 2 seconds and get him to scribble in your book.
Yes.
Now, I mean, I sort of don't have a problem with that, but
now, what's the average speaker's fee for somebody that turns up to speak at the International Conference for Men's Issues?
I imagine they do it for nothing, for expenses or something.
There's never been a speaker fee paid.
There you go. That was what
it's the Jordan Peterson is about Jordan Peterson and money, and there is this whole fucking caravan around him. But I think that his advice is poor, and I don't think I think that there's a lot of people that think they've got help from him, but whenever they come to their next bump in the road, they're going to have to rethink everything from scratch because he sent them in the cul-de-sac.
Moody Edge says, bullshit. They sell VIP packages like most events these days. I don't think, well, I'm certainly not arguing that, and I don't think 42 is. I think the point is that, and this is what Mark Collette said to me about Andrew Tate. And again, I don't want to misquote what Mark Collette said, but it was words to the effect of, you know, he's taking money off of people who haven't got a lot. And
but the thing about it is,
you know, you're looking at, it's mainly working class teenage white kids.
But
and if you've done 200 quid for a book, it's a little bit much.
But if you ask Andrew Tate what his goal in life is, he's going to say making money for Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson is not going to say making money for Jordan Peterson. It's obviously what his main goal in life is, but he's not going to tell you that. He's going to pretend to be something else.
Do you think he's doing good?
No. I think that
he's neutral.
I think there may be some minimal residual good falls off, but for every young man that he helps, he has got 4 young men to pick up the wrong fucking burden.
Can you explain that a bit more about this burden thing?
Right. Okay. To make it something all of us can understand, I'll frame this as Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse picks up a burden, doesn't check it. And that burden, so he goes along to clean graffiti at the school he went to. There he's recruited by older men that run a business to come back later on armed and protect that building.
Was it a car lot or something?
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Right, a car lot. Halfway through that, he gets a phone call to tell him to go to a different car lot that had already been overrun. And ends up there where he shouldn't have been because he's young, because he's inexperienced, didn't realize he was in a hostile car. Yet he met the owners that day. The owners picked him up that day as employment. So he was sent there. Now, at the time, my thoughts were, I'm just glad he got off with it. And it took a while for me to think back. Rittenhouse's problem is that he picked up everybody else's burden and ran with it. And the thanks he got for it was fuck all. Because after the court case and everything, he appeared with Tucker Carlson. Did he come out of Tucker Carlson with a job offer? Did he fuck? The people that owned the garage, he's actually skint now. Did they say here, there's a mechanic job here, there's whatever? No, did they fuck? He went round all the conservative think tanks. He was on their shows. He went to C-SPAN. No fucker offered him a job. And he's currently unemployable.
It's quite sad. I occasionally see little videos of him on X. And, you know, he's a young lad. He went through absolute hell. I think it's fair to say shooting a few people is going to give you a fair amount of hell.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm seeing him like in these little videos with like bikini-clad women either side of him and him sort of waving money about. And it's like, it's almost like he's just been turfed out the other end now. You know,
he's out the other end of the sausage maker, but he's also got 3 possibly 3 court cases hanging over him. It's impossible for him to work. And that's because he picked up the wrong burden.
Okay, I get you.
So, had that been a mob coming outside his home, yeah, go outside. If you,
but hang on, are you suggesting that Jordan Peterson is encouraging people to pick up And when you sort of pick up the wrong burden, that is, you could also rephrase that as people making bad decisions and bad choices. Now, I'm not arguing that, because when I hear him say, when you're nailed to a cross, don't get the mob involved, that's fucking ridiculous. No, do get your friends and family involved. But is there other content? I mean, I obviously don't expect you to find it all now, because it'll be the odd line here and there in the millions of hours of footage he's got on YouTube. But are you suggesting that that's part of his agenda, to get people to sacrifice their lives, essentially? I don't mean getting killed, but just fuck themselves up.
His agenda is to get young men to protect and provide for society. What he wants is, if you listen to what he's saying and pick up your burden, the burden's good for you, make the world a better place and all of that stuff. What he's saying is, whatever the burden is, go you out, pick up the burden, do the hard work. But my advice would be, yes, burdens can be good, but maybe check that burden out. See if it's the burden for you. Does it belong to you? What actually is it? And have a bit of thought about your own safety, your own well-being, your own happiness as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Peterson seems to be, fuck your own happiness. Fuck your don't worry about consequences for you. You've helped somebody else, so I've helped many a person, but one of the things that I do is I'll check what it is I'm helping first. I'm actually at the stage now where, see if I'm driving down the road at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's pushing down my rain. If there's a woman changing a car wheel, whereas before I would have offered assistance, I ain't doing that.
What if she was wearing a pink miniskirt?
Definitely not. I'm driving away.
That's an amazing answer that you didn't even think about either.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to help myself.
Yeah.
What about if she was a Hugh cow?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Whenever you park behind her or in front of her and she suddenly jumps into the car while still on the jack and phones the police.
No, of course. I was sorry. I did lighten things up a little bit.
Yeah, I know it's right. But here's the thing: if I'm driving down that same road, if there's a bloke changing a tire in the pissing rain or needs a car pushed or whatever, I'm stopping and helping.
Yeah. I had a girlfriend come around my house, and we were in a fight. Now the thing is, I could have knocked her out with ease. I'm 6'2". She was about 4'6", or tiny little thing, and she was repeatedly punching me in the nuts. Right? She had a bottle of booze in her hand, which she could have caused some damage with. So I just had to restrain her. My options were restrain her or knock her out, and knocking her out would have probably sent me to prison. Now, because my property, the front door was shared with the kitchen entrance to the restaurant under my house. So the people in the kitchen hear the kerfuffle, because she's screaming and I'm just going, fucking calm down, you're drunk and all this. They come out, first thing they think is, oh, look, that bloke's attacking. They know me, I live above them. Yeah. Look at him beating up his girlfriend. As they're pulling me off her, she's just scratching me and smacking me. And I'm saying to them, don't let her pass. It's my fucking house. And of course, they literally get me out of the way and let her pass. And then of course she's upstairs and in my house while they're still restraining me. Yeah. And as they finally let go of me, I'm like, right, you've now just let my ex-girlfriend, who's threatened to lie to the police about me, she's threatened to do this, that, and the other. She's now in my house. Are you going to go and get her out? No, you're not, are you? No. And it took me, she was there for fucking like 4 o'clock in the morning. She left. I finally got a shot of her. And I talked to the old Bill. There's a couple of the Soho old Bill. They have a cup of tea in Bar Italia. And I said to him, what should I have done? And he said nothing. He said, you shouldn't have even grabbed hold of her. He said, because if you break her finger now, you're going to be overnight in a holding cell, and then you're going to be going to court for maybe ABH, but possibly GBH. And I was like, you're joking? He said, no, you can't touch a woman. You're not allowed.
Yeah, your realistic only option is run away. It is.
Yeah, that's what. You know what? Actually, as you said that, as soon as I opened that downstairs door and saw her, I should have sprinted upstairs and put the bolts on my door.
Yeah, but
isn't that mad that I've got to run away from her?
Yeah, it's beyond crazy. I was talking to Chief Constable of Police Service Northern Ireland about this, and trying to explain to them. Yeah, Peterson wouldn't talk to anybody like me, would he? Here's the problem: he will not do it. I would talk to him, not a problem. But no, I don't do philosophy lectures, but I do talk. Whenever I was talking to them, trying to explain to them about what they see in the first 30 seconds when they arrive is not indicative of what happened in the previous 10 minutes. Because there's a very common tactic is for on a Friday or Saturday, a woman to buy her partner alcohol of some description, then start the argument at 10 o'clock and phone the police. But she's planned and organized it all. And he's oblivious and just trying to calm things down. And he ends up in that position you're talking about, away to the cells overnight. And we've now got mandatory arrests. So whenever the police arrive, even if what they want to do is say, right here, mate, tell you what to do, take yourself out, go for a walk around the block, come stay at a mate's house or whatever, come back tomorrow or whatever. They don't have that option.
Hang on. Toffee here says, try and man up and not be such an emotional spurg and you won't get terrorized by birds. I don't know if you're talking to me or 42 or something else in the chat, but I manned up. I left her. She turned up at my house and just started beating me up. If I hit her, what do you mean by man up in that situation? Toffee, what do I do in that situation? What's your advice? When a 4'6" girl comes in to my, like, I don't know what you call it, hallway, how do I man up there? Because the law doesn't let me man up. The law feminizes me. The law, worse, the law infantilizes me. I can't be doing anything. I mean, it's all very well giving it the big, and oh, come on, you should have fucking manned up and not be so emotional. I wasn't emotional. I just wanted her to fuck off. But you don't have the option.
It's, well, there are a lot of people who are saying equal rights means equal lefts, and maybe you should. It's a really hard situation. My best advice to anybody like that is you get out of that situation as best as you can, and then you break contact. Is where I would be at currently. Having said that, when I needed that advice, there was nobody there to give it to me. So it's really difficult.
It's fucking mad. Like when even the copper tells me, was his exact words. He said, "You snap her fingernail.
Yep.
And she will have, I can't remember his exact words, but he said she will have power over you for at least 2 years because that'll get dragged through the courts. And then when that gets put, when you win that one, then she'll lie.
Yep.
Yeah, but I haven't told you about the bit when he raped me. What?
Yep.
And even though you haven't, you still have to go through that fucking procedure. And then all your friends think you're a rapist.
Yep.
And then your business starts going down the pan because people don't want to support a rapist. You're like, I haven't raped anyone. What? And that's how it works. It's a fucking mess.
Do you know what one of the most common causes for a false rape accusation is?
Go on.
Not having a taxi fare.
Hang on, you're going to have to explain that to me. I was reading.
There's a lot of women that don't have a taxi fare home, jump in a taxi anyway, and and whenever they arrive at the destination, they offer sex instead of payment, and if that's turned down, they claim rape.
There you go. And you know, the weird thing is that feminism has destroyed Western women. Not all of them, obviously. Hashtag not all.
Yeah.
And yet they're left. And the thing is that they talk about empowerment all the time. Oh, it's very empowering, but it's almost like, you know, women are so, in a healthy society, women are so powerful. They're beautiful. They're attractive. Men go to war for them. Men will put themselves in front of them. They'll take a bullet for them.
If it was not for women, we would be living in mud huts.
Exactly. There you go. But because all of that's been corrupted, women, they've been fucked as well, because they haven't got much left at their disposal to actually, negotiate relationship issues.
Yeah. See, whenever the first caveman.
Hang on, 42. Sorry, just because it's connected. I think it was that Elam bloke. I can't remember who it was, and it caused a lot of people pissed him off. And someone said that it was the bloke who used to run Living Marxism. You do know him, bald bloke. Hang on, he used to be the editor of Living Marxism. People in the chat will know him. It's important that I find his name. Hang on. Living Marxism got closed down by ITN because I think it was libel or the other one. What's his name? Hang on. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, people, I know this is dry time. No, Guardian, I'm not buying you a cup of coffee. What's his name? Someone must know his name. Not Mick Hume. He was quite big a few years ago. You will know him, 42.
Yeah, I'm not.
No, that article's.
To be
fair, not George Galloway. No.
Haven't spent much time watching Living Marxism.
Spiked magazine was what? Brendan O'Neill.
Right. Yes.
Brendan O'Neill. Now, why was I right? So Brendan O'Neill or someone said that feminism isn't an attack on men; it's an attack on women. And I think it was Brendan O'Neill who said this is MRA bullshit. I don't want to.
Yeah.
What's the MRA's position on that? Do you know?
I would say that most people would say that feminism is an attack on people in general, but men and women. Would definitely say that feminism has harmed women more than men.
Yeah, me too. But as soon as you damage women, you destabilize society, and so the whole fucking thing falls apart. I saw someone in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't put it on the screen, but 42 was talking as he's here to. But someone said that, I'd love to find it. It was, I think it might have been Stuart G, who I know lives in Thailand, and that was relevant to it. Like me, Chris Dangerfield, never wanted to get married, never wanted kids. I'd thought about it. I'd had long relationships, 8 years, 11 years, 6 years, but in all those relationships, from the outset, I will not have children with you. I will not marry you. Right? I'm just establishing that. And, you know, maybe they thought they'll be the one to turn me. When I met this girl, I've been with my fiance, I've been with for 6 years. Mm-hmm. She's not a Western female. She doesn't know what feminism is. She's never had it rammed down her throat. And we'd been together about 6 months, and I was head over heels in love with her. And I can't go into the details because it's her stuff, but she was set up for an arranged marriage, and she earned the money doing the work she was doing at the time to pay the family back because she'd fallen in love with me and she didn't want to marry this bloke. And I said to her, what do you want? Before you make this decision to not do your arranged marriage and all that, what do you want? And she said, well, I love you. I don't love him. And I said, yeah, but I need to know a few things. And she said, I want children and I want to marry you. And it was a weird one because I was a bit sort of like, this is a bit banner in the works. And I said to her, I'm going to need a bit of time to think about it. But as I got to know her more, and as I asked her questions, I said, look, and I was like 46 at the time. Yeah. I was like, I'm 46. I'm knackered. I haven't looked after myself too well. The idea of kids screaming in the middle of the night, needing their asses wiped and all that, it doesn't appeal to me. The idea of having to tidy up, blah, blah, blah. And she looked at me just confused. And she said, what are you talking about? And she didn't say it like that, but she said, I look after the children. That's what women do. She said, you earn money, you work, I look after the house and the kids. And I had to give it a little bit longer because I thought, well, she might just be doing the perfect girlfriend thing. But then I met a few other Westerners who'd married Southeast Asian women. And, you know, a lot of them are ripping you off without a doubt. But a lot of them aren't as well. And the bloke said, oh, it's fucking great. It's how it should be. You know, as long as I'm earning money, I'm doing my job. And she does her job. I haven't woken up in the middle of the night to feed my kids once in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so after about 6 more months, I said to her, all right, let's do it. And I said, there's a few things, and I can't go into it because it's private, but I said, we will have kids, but you're going to have to give me 4 or 5 years, which is like next year now. And I'm absolutely going for it. And it's appealing to me. And she hasn't been touched by the evil hand of feminism.
And Chris, what I will say is you will make a great dad.
I'm glad you said that because I was asking for it really.
Yeah, no, seriously, you have a level of compassion and understanding that comes from your life that not a lot of people have. You've a really good understanding of how society works and all of that, and you will do a really fucking good job as a dad.
That's very kind of you to say. When I see blokes out here about my age with their like 2-year-old or 1-year-old kids, I look at them and I think, that's a real man. Now, I'm not taking anything away from blokes who haven't got kids, but if you're a man and you haven't had children, you're enjoying your life, that's fine. But you're kind of surplus to requirements as far as the continuation of the species goes, And to actually want kids was a beautiful thing. And I can't wait. I can't wait to, have the little fuckers ruining my life and running around. And I've said to her, I said, we need an house with 2 bedrooms. No, 3 bedrooms. Mine, my bedroom, her bedroom, and the kids' bedroom. And I need an office with a lock on the door and soundproofing so I can write. And, she's like, yeah, no problem. Oh, no problem. And so, yeah, I can't wait. So one day, hopefully, over the next year or so, I'll be giving you all the bad news. Right, 42. We've been going for 2.75 hours. I want you to get in this. I've still got time though. Right. But let's get there.
Right. What do you?
I just want to say though, Greg goes, so funny. I mean, the comment was made a long time ago, but he said, to be fair, cabs are pricey.
Yeah. Grego's very on the money, and his wit is fucking amazing.
He should make a channel. He's off. Baz, there's things that I need to get into place that I can't really talk about now, but once I can, I will. Don't worry. DJL says, I have an house with 3 bedrooms. I have my own bedroom, wife and son in the other. Me and my missus doesn't live with me and hasn't for 6 years we've been together. We both are very much like our own space. So that's why in our house, we'll sleep together more times than we won't. But occasionally I'll just want a night or 2 nights on my own. And she's the same. So lovely. So there's things like that, I've got to find the filthy lucre to make that happen. And I need an office. I absolutely need an office. I can't be running a business and trying to be a writer with kids running around. It's just, and I want it to work. I actually want it to work. So, there's things like that. Are you living in Laos? Or you don't dox yourself if you don't want to?
Yeah, it's
go on. 42.
Children can cause a lot of problems, but they also solve a lot, and they are fucking amazing. And whenever you see your own kids pottering about, it's cool as fuck.
But also I said to her, listen, I'm no spring chicken. I've damaged my body. I might not be able to do it. And she said, she always, she doesn't speak like me, but she said, we'll just adopt. There's so many Cambodian kids who need families. And she said, we'll just go and get free from an orphanage. And at first I said, it's not the same though, is it? And then I thought, actually, that's a bit fucking selfish. They're children, they need homes.
Well, there's 2 things in that. The first one is, give it a real good go with a natural one. The second thing is, if that's not working, if there's a sperm issue, go for the direct. It's nothing. What's the opposite of an injection, where you put a pen on, where you put a needle and take stuff out?
Please don't talk about my sperm.
Right. Well, you can extract that directly from the scrotum.
Please don't talk about my scrotum.
Right, okay, I'll not. Okay, right, I've stopped. I've stopped. Okay, sorry. But
I'm only pulling your plug. Go on, where are we with JP?
Right.
I mean, I can't believe, I can believe it. I can believe it. But you have effectively said that it is an organized operation to cause problems with the MRAs.
Well, not just the MRAs.
You said.
Okay, right. My opinion would be, I'm sort of thrashing this out as we talk anyway, but so my opinion would be, the United Nations, with their Agenda 21, in conjunction with other NGOs and other things, are trying to, Emma GB would have a fucking beautiful child. I might need to look into that.
Don't talk about your sperm on my channel.
Well, see, my sperm has been, there's a blockage between my testicles and my penis, so that I can't produce babies, but it could go in and get sperm out if it really needed it.
Hang on. So, what?
I've had a vasectomy.
Okay.
While
you can have them reverse, so can't you?
Yeah.
Or did they chop your nuts off? Was it an Island Troubles vasectomy?
No, right. When the witch was pregnant with my second child, I went to the doctors and said I want a vasectomy because I don't want any more kids. Right? Which should have been a clue that you're actually done with this whole fucking marriage. But no, I didn't. Just got a vasectomy. So the doctor then went, okay, bring your partner in, and then she had to sign off it. Then I went and got the vasectomy. If I really wanted to have kids now, instead of trying to reverse a vasectomy, the better procedure is to go directly into the testicle, extract the sperm, and then artificial inseminate that to the vagina.
You must be carrying them around in a fucking wheelbarrow, or doesn't it work like that? Well,
no, it doesn't work. The difference between
cease. Jordan Peterson.
Right, Jordan Peterson. Right, so I reckon that there is a whole conglomeration of things that are trying to...
Hang on a minute. Sorry to say cease, but actually, I nearly said the same, actually. Your partner, what? Yeah. Is it your partner as in common law wife, girlfriend, or legal wife?
If you live in the United Kingdom and you go along to your doctor and say, please can I have a vasectomy, they will say, are you in a steady relationship? And I go, yes. Do you have 2 children? Yes, I do. Or in my case, my partner's pregnant with the second one. Okay, you've hit the criteria because you already have 2 children. Now bring your partner off, and so that we can ensure that she is totally okay with this.
Fucking hell. And yet you can bowl into a clinic as an 11-year-old and have your tits chopped off.
Right. Now here's where it gets more pernicious. Could you imagine your wife has an appointment with the doctor for contraceptive pills and you rock up with her and you're saying, and you want them to have a decision on whether or not she's allowed those tablets?
What, and you don't?
You get fucking arrested.
What? Hang on. So that it doesn't work both ways.
No,
is it due to the permanence of
no? It's due to the gender.
It's due to the
gender. It's totally illegal for a man to interfere with a woman's reproductive choices.
Oh, they love all that. They love all that. Right. Whereas with a bloke, it's just having a fuck. 42. I need a piss. All this talk of penises. I'll be back.
Go you for a pee, and I will wax away about vasectomies and reproductive rights. Right. So the way it works is, if a man attempts to interfere with a woman's reproductive choices, that is classed as controlling coercive behavior. Whenever a woman becomes pregnant, there are 2 potential parents, a mother and a father. However, the father does not count. The mother gets the choice of keeping the child and raising it with the father, keeping the child and raising it without the father, but at the father's expense, aborting the child, or giving the child up for adoption. The man has the choice of whatever the fuck the woman decides. So we do not have equality in reproductive rights. How equal reproductive rights would be for that same 25, 26, 28, whatever it is, window period where a woman has the option of deciding to abort a child. A man should have the ability to abort his legal and financial responsibilities and say, actually, do you know what? This is a mistake, it's wrong, don't want this child, nothing to do with me. You go ahead and do whatever you want, but fuck all to do with me.
What 42, or if anyone in the chat, what Dave Chappelle makes a really good joke about it. Like, I can't remember it exactly, but it's about that. It's about if a woman gets pregnant but the bloke doesn't want it,
he
still has to pay for it.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's yours. That's yours for the next 16 years.
Now, I mean, I am a bit. I think if you're having unprotected sex, I think it's a bit off killing the baby. You should have thought about that beforehand.
Well,
but
what if the man's of the opinion that he's having protective sex? What if the man's of the opinion she's on a contraceptive pill?
I think that's what Dave Chappelle actually says. I think that's his angle, actually.
Or what if she has got the condom, turned it inside up, and attacked herself with a turkey baster?
What's that bit in the Big Lebowski where he has sex with that bird, and when they finish, she's on her back with her legs in the air pumping. Yeah. He's like, "What are you doing?" She says, "More chance of getting pregnant," and he was horrified. 42. These 3 streams about the men's rights lot have been incredible, absolutely incredible. But let's get back to JP.
Right. So what I think that there are a bunch of people that are trying to control the way society works. You can bring in that your 15-minute cities. You can bring in that your electric cars, your globalization, all of that. And I think part of that is a small part of that is by getting men to provide and protect on the plantation. If they could possibly make it illegal for men to remain bachelors, they would, and that is part of their goal. And Jordan Peterson is one of the tools they use to achieve that end.
But 42, what I don't get is, and I sort of do get it because I know, but it's like, white people stop breeding.
Yeah.
And then other peoples, I've got to be careful.
Yeah.
They're encouraged. They're absolutely encouraged.
Yes, they are. Because
just at a cultural level, they are. The American system, it what's the word I'm looking for? It motivates African American women to have as many children as possible by different fathers who aren't in the home. It works out well for them. You can get rich off it.
Right. Have you heard of the 4x4?
Go on.
So if you've got we'll start. Do you know why they want them from different fathers? Do you know why they want them to have the children with different fathers?
No, I don't.
Right. Okay. Right. So whenever the government goes to take child support out of your wages, right, they take your total earnings, and then they work out a percentage of that, and that's how much you pay. Right? And the percentage will change depending on how much time the father spends with the child. So if you've got the child with 0 custody, you pay full child support. The only thing that is removed from the man's wage before they make the calculation is other child support payments. So if a man has 4 children to the same woman, she'll get one lump sum of child support, but the amount for the second child will be less than the first one. The amount for the third child will be less than the first and the second, because that has been deducted out of it before the money comes out, right? So they're after 4 working men with no other support, so they get the full child support off them. And if you can get 4 children from 4 different fathers, you'll be able to afford a 4x4.
There you go. There you go. And of course, they don't spend any time with the kids because they're in prison.
Right. Well, this is the interesting one. Those people only tend to be in There's two types. You've got the baby mama with the husband or part with the father in prison.
Can I just say, I despise that saying. The way it's come into the doxa is, I hear people from Dartford who are like 17 going, "No, it's my baby mama." I'm like,
I only use that because we were talking about
No, I know.
Yeah,
I was aware of that.
I totally despise that as well. The only thing that really gets me is, why the fuck are people from England calling the police the 5-0?
No, mate, I remember being on a train about 8 years ago in England, and these couple of junkies sat down next to me. We were all dressed the same.
Yeah.
And he went, "Are you holding?" And I thought, "Are you mugging me?" And he said, we're not mugging you. He goes, "We're not going to do you." He went, "But there's feds on the train." I went, "What? They've come all the way for your 10 bag?"
Yeah.
Fucking feds. No, all that. I grew up in the 70s, and you look at any photos of the 70s, people the kids look like British English kids.
Yeah.
You look at them now, they are all wearing sportswear, and it saddens me. You look back at a photo of England or Britain from anywhere in the 20th century, before about the 80s, even your working class people, even your road to Wigan Pier people are wearing 3-piece suits and hats. And it's what the fuck happened in the space of about 3 years? Breakdance 1 came out, Electric Boogaloo came out, and then everyone was just turning up in fucking tracksuits. French philosopher light, I call him. He's no Derrida, but Jean Baudrillard says that the whole wearing sportswear, he says it. I mean, he's a bit shit, really, Baudrillard. Cool Memories, buy that book. It's beautiful. Hang on. He says that the reason that sportswear has become a thing is because it gets rid of the difference between sleeping and living your life. It's almost like a somnambulism. So you get out of bed in your pajamas, put more pajamas on because they're very light synthetic fabrics, and then just sit around doing nothing. You might as well be as fucking asleep anyway.
Well, actually, this is quite interesting because what you'll find is mainly most women don't leave the house until they've put their makeup on, right?
Yeah.
Men obviously don't do that.
Most of the women I've been with don't go to bed without putting it on. Go on, son, get that in there.
Right. But men don't have that where they put their face on for the outside world for the day. What you're putting on is your clothes. And if you've changed your outside clothes to basically sleeping attire, that does take that away.
Yeah. It's sleepwalking. It just more demoralization. And even you see a bunch of black Americans with their jeans around their knees.
Yeah.
All right, that's your thing. When you see a white boy from Reading with his jeans around his knees, it's like you're being humiliated. And I think I've told the story before. We're on a train and where there's a band. They were a lot younger than me and Mumford, and we're going to see another band. Like me and Mumford just hanging around for the laugh of it. And one of these kids talks like a black kid, right? Mumford ain't having it. He's like, "You speak like that at home, do you?" And this kid's like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, what are you thinking? I got no time for that." He's just like sort of patois, but he doesn't know it enough. So, he's having to stumble like I was because I can't speak fucking patois. And he went, "Hang on. So you wake up in the morning and you go, 'Mum, I already told you time. I ain't got Weetabix moments in me.'" And he was like, "Yeah." He went, "No, fuck off, do you?" And he said, "What, you talk like that at school?" And we all know he doesn't. We all know when he goes to the doctors, he's like, "Oh, hello, doctor. I've got this sort of lump behind my neck." And then, while this little Mumford just wasn't letting it go, this kid suddenly stopped. He went, "Look, I don't know why you're picking on me." He said, "It's just who I am." And he went, "Hang on a minute, what?" He went, "You ain't talking like it now." And people around were laughing. People on the train that would listen to the whole conversation were like smiling and like sniggering and that, all steady. And he went, "Why aren't you talking like a black person now?" And he really didn't know. But these 3 black kids had got on, but they were only like 12 or something in their private school uniforms. So they weren't they weren't roaded,
Yeah.
But you could tell that this 18-year-old white boy was embarrassed because some 12-year-old black kids would have just thought, "You prick." They probably spoke more English than he did.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If he continues talking the way he does, do those 3 black kids have a case that he's taking the piss out of them?
I think they've probably seen it hundreds of times.
Yeah,
but they were private school kids. They had like the little badge and the crest and like the stripy tie. The mad thing was they were learning to be eloquent and have a vocabulary and do well in life. Yes. He was hobbling himself. You're not going to walk into a job and go, "Yeah, man, I ain't got time for all these fucking numbers and shit. I got things to do. I got ladies waiting, man." No, okay, well, you're not getting the job, boy, because you can't talk. And
oh fuck, there was somebody turned up the Argaff on Monday, which was May Day, and he actually turned up, looked at the car park that was empty whenever it should have been full, and decided the thing to do was to just walk on into work and clock in, and didn't twig that the place was fucking closed. Sorry. It's like, I'm like, at that level of stupid, you shouldn't be employed. But it's the same level of stupid that you have if you walk into an interview and you're talking with a fake accent.
Yeah. Bizarre.
Pretend to be a whole different ethnicity.
Now, I know, obviously, because of multiculturalism, certain parts of London, there is an accent that's neither black or white. And, they will, the black kids speak the same as the white kids, and it's neither English or patois.
Yes.
And language does, if you're going to mix people, that does happen. But that ain't what this kid was doing. DJL's just put in the chat, "Smiley culture, Cockney translation." I got that. Well, I haven't anymore because we threw it all out when my mother died. I had that on 12-inch. What a tune. What a tune. Funny bloke, Smiley culture. Glass, there's another kind of footwear you should have put on that list, and I'm not impressed, quite frankly.
Green Dunlops. Oh.
Come on, man. Let's get onto it. I know it's me that keeps distracting you, but stop me.
I reckon that there are conglomerations, people. They want young men to. Their issue, the largest part of their issue, believe it or not, is probably work. Because we have a lot of young men that have done shit in the education system, and they are. Basically, the closest term would be like herbivores, where instead the other term's failure to launch, whereby these young men, they stay in their parents' they stay in the bedroom in their parents' house, and they're playing video games. They don't go out get a job. If they do get a job, they do part-time work. They get them their fags, drink, and whatever, and they don't contribute a hell of a lot to society.
Yeah.
And these people would say that the people that are choosing to do that are a drain on the system, and part of the a big part of the break because they're not producing anything, and they would like these people to be good little children and get themselves a 9 to 5 and believe everything that the government say. And they use people like Peterson to push them on to that get job, do job, find people, protect them, pay tax. And I think that's what their issue is.
So the same as the Rockefellers state education. Right. We don't want a nation of thinkers. We want a nation of workers.
We want the nation of workers, and we've had that for a very long time. Now what we've got,
I'll tell you something. Sorry to interrupt. I'll tell you something I did notice around the when Jordan Peterson was sort of at his peak around the Cafe Newman thing. There was a lot of people who were suddenly considering themselves intellectuals who just weren't. They didn't have the chops, but because they watched Jordan Peterson videos, they were, and it's almost like a confidence trick.
Yes,
you're not studying the work. Listening to a lecture on Nietzsche by Jordan Peterson is kind of useless unless you've read the books, read the other angles on that text, read the text that inspired it, blah, blah, blah. So that I'd certainly noticed that there was a lot of people in the comments of Jordan Peterson videos who just didn't get it. And they were... And it's a confidence trick in that respect.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of people that suddenly started talking about the divine feminine and lot of stuff that and I listened to one of his lectures and didn't listen to all of one of his lectures. I listened to a solid 15 minutes and I could find nothing of any actual substance in it. Now, it sounded very intelligent. Whatever the fuck he was going on about, it was at a high level shit. But there was nothing that, as you've just said, studied all those books, which obviously, by the way, I haven't. There was nobody from that was getting anything out of it whatsoever, but they were still commenting and talking about it because, well, fuck, you have to. You're right. I mean, from what I know about the areas he talks, he does know his stuff. He does. Yep. He's read the books, but what he hasn't done is contributed. Now that might not sound that interesting or relevant, but let me tell you something about the British education system. I might get this slightly wrong because I haven't looked at it for a long time, but it certainly used to be the case, and I can't see why they would have changed it. To get a bachelor's degree, which is a first degree, BA, or a BS, a science one, bachelor's of science, or it's a bachelor of arts, you have to show an understanding of a general understanding of the field. So I'd done a liberal arts degree. I had to write a 30,000 word dissertation that showed I had a general understanding of sort of like art in the age of mechanical reproduction, postmodernism, a general understanding of the history and social role and function of art. And in the sciences, it's the same. You have to show a general understanding of whatever your specialist area, whether it's human biology or whatever. To get a master's degree, you have to show an understanding of a specific area in the field. So I done French post-structuralism. So that I rounded it down to French post-structural thought, which was essentially one writer, but I pretended that I give a shit about the others. But to get a doctorate, to get a PhD, and that's when you can
and it's gross to put doctor in front of your name unless you're a GP. It's really frowned upon in academia. You get your PhD and suddenly, oh, Dr. Chris Dangerfield. Oh, gross, man. It's just like, don't be a prick. And unless you're a GP.
Or the first lady.
Or the first. Biden's missus is a doctor. Yeah, but she's probably a GP because someone needs to.
No, she's not.
No, but someone needs to wipe his ass.
Yeah,
but to get a PhD, you've got to contribute to the area.
Right.
So you've actually got to get ideas, synthesize them, usually dialectically, because it's about resolving contradictions, and look what I've come up with. Now, the reason that's relevant is I don't see that ever with Jordan Peterson. And he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to synthesize. He doesn't have to come up with new ideas. But for a bloke who's considered one of the most intellectual powerhouses of the era, he's just read books and repeated them. And it's a bit like, well, I do that on my channel, but I'm not an intellectual powerhouse of the era, and I wouldn't, that really lack of synthesis, it kind of, for me, it supports your claims. Anyway, I distracted you again. Let's go.
So that's what my thought. He is part of a tool that's being used for this 15-minute cities, globalization, standardization, all of that. One of the major problems with Japan's economy was they had the thing where people were chained. The term they had for it was chained to their desk, and you had this group of children who watched their fathers basically die working with the amount of hours they are in the commute, and they class themselves as herbivores. They disengaged with work. They disengaged with females because in order to date the females, you need to earn the money. So they says, nah, fuck this. I'm only doing what I need to provide for me. You have a similar situation with part of the MGTOW men going their own way, where a lot of them will work minimal hours and go into minimalization, as opposed to trying to work and trying to figure out, I've got X amount of years on this place, I'm going to try to enjoy it. The powers that be really don't like that because it takes away taxpayers, it takes away resources, and also you have, 1 second, I need to cough. Also, then you have the problem of a reduced stock of eligible bachelors for the women, and I don't like that. So Peterson's one of the things that they put in place or promoted to try to get men back towards the go work your nuts off, earn a shitload of money, fix everybody's problems, get yourself a woman, wife her up, and pop out babies.
Okay.
Now,
hang on a minute, 42. Grego says, nah, this is as weak as a leftist fart danger. Peterson did a bunch of massively cited work on the big five.
Got a source for that, chum?
You mean peer-reviewed? That's how the academia works, though, Grego. And I've been there. I've done 7 years after school in it. What happens is, if you don't question what they teach you, you get the good grades. The people who get the good grades get published in the what would you call it?
Peer-reviewed journals.
Yeah, the journal of that department.
Yeah,
and then you suddenly start realizing, like I did, that the people who are getting published and getting peer-reviewed are the people who are repeating back to the tutors what the tutors have said to them.
Yep.
And Gregor, if you haven't heard me say this on this channel before, you're not watching enough. That is how the that is how the institutions, the academic institutions, reproduce themselves, because they reproduce the necessary ideological relations to maintain their grip on academia. So the fact that Jordan Peterson's been peer-reviewed and cited, that actually defends my argument rather than attack it. A real intellectual, they're the likes of the people that get chucked out of institutions because they want to pull the whole thing down. Because they say, hang on a minute, we've had like 6 decades of the same ideas. It's almost like the long march through the institution. Why is it that all the people that end up doing the PhDs end up becoming tutors are the ones that repeated back to the tutors what the tutors said to them, because they want to keep hold of that institution?
Academia is very good at putting you in the courses where the only possible job is teaching that course.
Yep. When I applied for my PhD and I was asked to apply by the tutor who wanted me as his student at Essex University, they sent me all this gumph and they said, right, assuming you're going to be doing between 4 and 6 years of a PhD, please can you outline your area of study? We want a survey of literature, which is a fancy title for what books I'm going to read. And I can't remember what the third one was, but it wasn't.
You had to go in there with the full plan.
Yeah. And I wrote back to them and I said, hang on a minute. I want to do a doctorate on Derridian linguistics, which I don't know what I'm going to read because I don't know. That's why I want to do it.
Yeah, and I thought I was going there to learn this for 4 years.
Exactly. I said that to him. I said, I'm looking at doing about 6 years here. I said, but what? Rousseau's essay on the origin of languages, obviously, but I've read that. I've done a 40,000 word dissertation on it. You can read it if you want, but you can also, you've probably read Rousseau's. Derrida's deconstruction of, I hate using that word, but to keep it simple, of Rousseau's essay on the origin of languages. But it's at that point, I want to look for the contradictions and try and resolve them. And that's what my PhD will be. You're asking me to tell you what my conclusions are before I've even done it.
But that's how they make sure you don't come up with any new ideas.
Well, that's how I didn't end up doing a PhD. They wrote back to me and essentially said, yeah, that's how it works. And I said, well, it doesn't work like that for me. Bye.
Yeah.
I don't know why DJL said benzos, but, you know, I quite like it. Right, come on. I keep interrupting. Right. Yeah, this is now got to be the sprint finish because it's after the morning.
The sprint. Yeah, it is. We're coming up in half it. Right. No, God knows what time it is in your world.
It's 2 in the morning.
Yeah, right. So basically, my opinion is that.
Well, hang on. So you've got no more clips. We are just.
Yes, we'll just riff it. Pretty much all the stuff that was important in the clips we've looked through.
Okay,
we could have possibly gotten a bit more out of that burden, but we've talked that to death. My opinion would be that Peterson was an academic that was mediocre at best, that he came to the attention of the United Nations, got involved with Agenda 21. They promoted him and did that quite quietly, because even whenever he blew up, it was quite a while before it started to come out about the United Nations stuff.
Was there a similar thing of the Social Democrats and the auditions, or wasn't that required because he the boxes, or you don't know?
My presumption would be they looked through potential spokespeople, for want of a better word, and they came to him and went, we'll give him a word. DJL, this may be a bit tinfoil hat, I don't know, but all I can tell you is my timeline goes Agenda 21, the big viral video, and then him being
Hang on
everywhere.
a minute, 42. Hang on a minute. DJL, you were late getting to this stream, and I know that because you're talking about benzos, and we covered them previously in some depth. Now, the reason that 42 is talking about this stuff is because we've done 2 more of these streams last year, but 42 has said a lot of other stuff that I questioned at first, but then when you've probably missed stuff that would make you think it's not so tinfoil hat. Why? And I feel like we're going over it again now, but I think it might help you understand why we got to this place. How comes Jordan Peterson has had no problem putting on his massive tours? How comes he can just turn up and everyone arrives and everyone, whereas people like Cassie J, whereas people like Nick Fuentes, whereas, you can like Patriotic Alternative, they can't put places, they can't put shows on. The police stop them. The theatres say, no, we don't want you. But this Jordan Peterson character, who's meant to be, he held up a Pepe flag. He's the alt-right love him. And yet he gets to have free reign. He's a globally best-selling writer and lecturer and speaker.
Yeah, and the other thing is the New York Times bestseller list has got no reflection whatsoever on sales.
No, none at all. There was a book on the New York Times bestseller list for something like 4 months, and it sold 40 copies. Most of those bestseller lists are curated.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, I interrupted you again. Go on. Do your sprint finish.
I reckon that they've recruited him, put him out, and made him more popular than he should have been. There's a lot of anecdotal stuff about the way he was pushed through YouTube. There's a lot of anecdotal stuff about the way he was pushed through Facebook, the way he arrived with a mob, the Jordan Peterson mob that stuck about the men's rights movement and is still there to a good extent. They all arrived on day one. Like we had, and because I was heavily involved with the Voice for Men's Facebook page at the time, I knew it's like, see if on one stream you suddenly get half of the people commenting, you've never seen that name before. You know that something's strange. And that's pretty much the experience we had. The day that video arrived, there was a mob of people arrived with him.
As Jordan, Keys to the Kingdom said I was going to play devil's advocate, and I have been at certain parts, but there comes a point where you're convinced and you can't play devil's advocate because 42 has put forward some very convincing propositions.
No.
I'm still a little bit unsure about. I'm still struggling to think they approached him. Although if it was the UN, and it's a pay packet, isn't it? When the UN come knocking on your door,
right? Whenever they engaged him to assist with writing the foreword for Agenda 21, which he 100% did, they have to have that. He didn't just come up and say, "Here's a bit of writing. You might want that for Agenda 21." So they've got in contact with him, done that. I think that the deal for him doing that was, we will also make you famous. We will put your message out there, and your message is going to be the one that we want put forward. The other thing I will say is why my theory is a bit clanky is, I personally do not believe that there's any one faction that controls the whole world. I believe that there are a few competing factions that are controlling things at the top end, and he's a spokesman for one of those groups.
I'm looking at it now. Jordan Peterson exposed as a globalist operative who drafted the Agenda 21 manifesto.
That's a real nice interview.
And it's Paul Hackett, and he's one of your lot, and Paul Hackett. That rings a bell. Or have I got that wrong?
I think he knocked about here and there, but he wouldn't have been like a main player.
And then one bloke says, you can't find his name there, and a bloke says, search Jordan Peterson, UN subcommittee tweet. He even boasts about it. I wouldn't believe it either if I hadn't seen it myself. Here are a couple of links. And you know, if you're a sort of a clinical psychologist working in a not very prestigious institution, teaching students the same old stuff about the Bible, and the UN approach you, you know, look, if you do this, you scratch our back, we'll scratch your back. Can I ask you, has the MRAs ever had anything similar to this? I mean, the Tate brothers, the sort of next in
probably this? The Tates would be the next thing. Now, again, with Peterson, whenever the video first came out, the first question was, who the fuck's Jordan Peterson? Where'd he come from?
Well, on this subreddit, I'm always wary of people who become popular overnight.
Yeah, right. Andrew Tate, for the first week, there was just people going, who the fuck is Andrew Tate? And there was something strange, because very quickly he was in the news and everybody was being told not to watch his stuff. And I don't know. See, whenever the band The Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie, do you think that put people off reading them or encouraged them? You know, there's something weird with the there's something weird with the way the Andrew Tate thing has went.
So you're I mean, again, I don't want to get Mark's comment wrong, but Mark, although he did mention the money thing as well, but he also said, he kind of repeated what you said. The likes of, he wasn't talking about Jordan Peterson, but he said the Tates getting in between.
Yeah,
we need to talk to.
There is a big issue whereby the people that we were getting coming through are now going to Tate, Peterson, the whole fucking Jack Murphy thing. I don't think anybody really went there.
I find Andrew Tate, I quite like. I think Tristan's the funnier of the two.
Yeah,
but I'd much rather have teenage Brits reading the Patriotic Alternative website than I would them reading or watching Andrew Tate on Rumble. I mean, it's just a funny show, really, and it is quite funny. They're quite good at it.
And I'm also struggling to see why the Tates are being prosecuted. I have a real problem figuring out what they did illegal, unless there's something that I don't know about.
It's a really weird one. I mean, I watched his interview about it, and you know, he's under house arrest, but all the girls involved said no. You know, there was no evidence. That's why it got chucked out, but that's why they're under house arrest now, and it blew them up. That whole thing blew them up.
Yeah. Well, what happened
what does he do? Promote pornography. He sells crappy get rich quick schemes.
He started off as a pornographer. He set up a system whereby he set up the house, set up the room, set up the video cams, did everything at the back end, did the actually lucrative bit, which is all the private messages that you pay for.
fact, most cam girls, they can't even speak the language. They just tap on the keyboard, and it's a room full of blokes just talking to blokes for money.
Right. But what the girls that worked for Andrew Tate found was that they had a choice of sorting that out themselves, where they could go with Tate. He would provide the studio, provide the lighting, provide the camera, provide all that back end stuff. All they had to do was turn up, do the show, and take the money.
That's it.
And that worked for them. It definitely worked for Tate. He made a shit ton of money out of it.
Yeah.
Then, for one reason or other, the governments decided to make him a public figure. And then whenever they did that, he sort of jumped into the pickup artist community, which would be like your Fresh and Fit, Rolo Tomasi, those type of people who basically make their money by taking off socially awkward young men.
Everything I read about the MRAs in preparation for this, and that it's mainly left-wing stuff.
Yeah,
they all said that the MRAs are part of the pickup artist crowd. They're the same thing. That they merge together.
Yeah, yes, they do that. But the reality is, we're not there to
And yet, though, I've got a bit of an issue with the pickup artist thing, because although there's some very strange goings on in certain parts of that, I did see one bloke, and he put together a very simple argument. He said, what I do is tell men what women want so they can give it to them and find relationships. And that end of it, is there anything wrong with that? I'm not sure there is.
Well, this is the other thing. You can't actually just brush all of the pickup artists as the same.
Exactly.
Right. There are gotta be some people. Like Coach Red Pill. Fuck.
He's dead, isn't he?
Yes. Coach Red Pill, who was supposed to be a MGTOW guy, supposed to be teaching men how to keep themselves right and not get involved with government and keep themselves safe and all. And he ended up living in Ukraine and criticizing the Ukrainian government and then dying in prison.
Yeah.
It's like there's something wrong there.
You think so?
Yeah,
you've spotted that.
He couldn't advise himself on how to not get killed. He's a pimp at the very least. Then he converted to Islam, right? Yeah, I don't know. The other thing is, with everybody, it's hard to know. It's hard to know what all is fact and what all is fiction. I don't know if he is fully on the Islam thing, or what version of Islam he is on.
Well, I think what's interesting is Tristan is still a Christian.
Yeah.
So as a partnership, that works quite well when you're looking at building audiences, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I just got to read out Blogs' entropy because I often miss them, and he might not be here anymore. Blogs dropped to Lady Godiva, and the grift did dry up about 2.5 hours ago, people, and we've been going for 3.5 hours. I haven't got past cleaning my room bit. It sounds like I dodged a bullet. About your testicles, you might need some sort of ball cooler. It's so hot there. Your sack droopage is them trying to cool down in vain. I'm trying to think of solutions. Bill, you don't need to think about my balls, mate. I mean, I appreciate it, but it's not that we haven't been trying to conceive. There's a few things I want to sort out before I bring children into the world. So, I missed a couple more. Brad James said, my parents have been together since they were 14. good call. That must be lovely. It must be just so nice to be the child of that family, assuming it goes well. And Brad dropped a score on the door as well. Before I go and help my mum with shopping, I recommend another academic for you to check out, Chris. His subjects are different from Jordan Peterson, but he talks utter nonsense. He's called Roy Casagrande. Hilariously bad. Nice one, Brad. Very kind, very generous. You dropped another few super chats in tonight, so thank you very much. Never heard of Roy Casagrande. I will quickly whip that into Google.
Yeah, I just took a screen grab of that because I'm going to only come up later.
It's always worth a watch, isn't it? Brad seems to have good takes on things, so there you go. Right, 42. So it's your final moment. What is the takeaway? We've nearly done 4 hours.
We have.
Which is wicked. Lovely. I've loved every minute of it. We've had over 100 people until about 5 minutes ago. And that's good going for 4 hours.
What I will say is, as always, I have really enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, great being on. Thank you very much for having me. I'm trying to think what I can say to sum this up and try to make a sensible thing. I would say that, in my humble opinion, that there's a filter that was bringing young men to people that wanted to help them for free, and they got diverted away from them to Peterson, to Tates, to like other people, in the way that they're trying to do to bring people to good man. They've been doing this forever. The Good Man Project, which we would call the Good Man China Project, Mankind Initiative, all these very feminized groups that are for being promoted to men. I don't think they're healthy. I think that there are things that I can agree with Peterson on. And that, is it good to have a burden? Yes. Is it good to have a clean room? Yes. But maybe have a look around you and check that burden before you lift it. Maybe make sure you're doing things for the right reason. And yeah, that's about the height of it, I think.
Hang on a minute.
This is the only bit where I try to remember everything that I've said.
No, you've done great.
I think I've covered pretty much all of
it. I am convinced by pretty much everything you've said, and then as soon as I think that the lack of the organic sort, like you could see someone and then they could sort of pounce, but then when you've got that UN Agenda 21 lark, or 41, I can never remember.
It's Agenda 21, but then it went to Agenda 2030.
That's the bit that
it's.
So I'll put this here. So what has he done his work, or is he just like is he now just a soul carrying on?
He's past the sail by.
Right.
You'll find that he'll become increasingly more irrelevant. You'll find that Andrew Tate will be pushed more to the fore, and then he will drop away, and there will be somebody to replace him.
Which has already happened. A year ago, it was still Jordan Peterson. When he started doing some very clickbait videos.
Yeah.
The first time I've talked about this. The first time I talked to my daughter about this.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, fucking hell. But over the last 6 months, I am getting 4 or 5 emails a day from Scrubs. I know you don't like Andrew Tate, which isn't true. I didn't, but I find him entertaining. But that doesn't mean he's not necessarily problematic. But I'm getting that, and I used to get that from Jordan Peterson. Sarah bought me 12 rules for life.
Yep.
And now I'm getting people saying, no, you don't like tape, but just watch this bit. Just watch this bit.
If you want the better book, try The Way of Monkey. Turd Flinging Monkey wrote a book called The Way of Monkey, which is...
Oh, you told me about this before, didn't you? Turd Flinging
Yes.
Monkey.
So basically what he did is he took 12 rules for life and fixed it. Right? And in each chapter, he gives you the better advice, the better version of advice that Peterson was going for.
How blatant is it? Is it just a different book? Or is it like, here's what Jordan says, but here's the problems, do this instead? How blatant is it?
It's blatant enough that it's called The Way of Monkey, 13 Steps to Life. And it's got 13 steps instead of 12 because Turd Flinging Monkey has the female doll things.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but I'm just nodding my head. I've run out of mental energy.
Yep.
42.
Yeah.
Listen, I know it was nearly 2 years between the second and the third one, but these have been 3 really interesting streams for me. I've found them fascinating. That Tate stream, when you said that at the end, it was fucking perfect, because all the way through it, I was like, you know, and it was just like, how about this? And I was like, oh, you fucker. That's, why didn't you say that at the beginning? But if you'd have said it at the beginning, I'd have been in all sorts of trouble. So you timed it well.
Yeah.
Can we have a 42 in the chat for 42? Thank you so much for coming on and for putting up with my terrible timekeeping.
Mate, I've loved every minute of it. I've loved every minute of it. I really enjoyed it.
For 4 hours.
Thank you very much for having me on.
That quickly is incredible. I'll let you go now because I'm going to shill next week. Look after yourself. And thanks for coming on.
Yes, yourself. All the best. Thanks very much. And Scrubs, thank you very much. You've been, as usual, fucking amazing. Thank you. All right. All right, bye.
He's great stuff, isn't he? He's absolutely fantastic. What an interesting conversation. And the thing about 42 is I trust him because I know how much time and effort and intellectual energy he's put into the MRA scene. You know, that was his life for years and years. And I also know, and I won't go into it because I don't know how much of this he's shared publicly, but I also know that there's other things that make me trust him on these matters. Right, next Thursday, same day, Thursday, same time, 5 o'clock, 1700 hours UK time. This channel, Teddy Dutton, Professor Edward Dutton, is going to come on and talk about the fact that there's no such thing as free will. That we do not have free will. We do not make choices. We do not decide what to do. Everything we do, me putting my arm in the air like that, me grabbing my vape, me picking up my brass knuckles, all of that has been determined from when we crawled out the chemical swamp, from my great grandparents' decisions and how my great grandmother was when she carried my great grandmother in her womb. You know, we are products of our environment. And Dutton is a free will absolutist, as is Robert Sapolsky. Robert Sapolsky is a Stanford lecturer of quite high regard. And when he stays in lane, he's actually excellent. But when he starts talking about mental health and says there's biological markers for schizophrenia, I'm like, really? Have you got the receipts for that? But Sapolsky's released this book called Determined. It's a play on words. And you put Sapolsky put Robert Sapolsky, Sarposlky, into YouTube, I wouldn't be surprised if you don't find 50, 60, 70 podcasts where he's been on them and spoken, said exactly the same as on all the others. He's promoting his book. I get it, and I don't judge him negatively for it. So free will and determinism are in the air at the moment. And I asked Teddy Dutton, I said, do you believe in free will? He went, nope. And I said, do you want to come on my channel and talk about it? And he went, yep. And I said, can you send me a photo for the thumbnail? And he sent me one, and he asked me if it was sexual. And I said, no, it was sensual. Well, have fun with Teddy Dutton, though. I'll get a shirt ironed. I'll get a nice cravat out. He won't like that. He will not like that. And we'll be talking to him. So next Thursday, we'll be talking to Teddy Dutton. Thank you so much to 42 for he told me he gets home from work at 5 o'clock. The stream started at 5:05. So he got home from a day's work and gave 4 hours of his life to talk about something that he thinks is important. And whether you believed him, whether you trusted him, whether you agreed with him, you know, there's stuff there that you should perhaps think about. It might make you might learn something, you might change your mind, all sorts of things. And it's a wonderful thing for someone to do. I want to thank everyone who donated. Life-changing for me at the moment, getting donations. I'm a bit skidding around there fiscally. Thanks for Rags and the boy Cray, who I don't think are here. This channel don't need looking after, does it? The only YouTube channel that actually likes trolls. But most of all, thanks to Emma Glass. I mean, thanks to all the scrubs who come here. We've had good numbers. They're fading now because I don't know, I can't even think. You know, I'm making a video of an interview I'd done, and the Zoom call cut out, and I've missed about 15 minutes, which is the main bit of the interview. So I'm trying to cut and paste this poxy video together. It's for work as well. It took me, I was doing it for 13 hours yesterday. I started at 11 o'clock this morning and finished about 10 minutes before this stream. So it ain't even finished. I thought I'd do it after this stream, but no, man, it's 3 o'clock. I'm going to watch a movie and go to bed. I'll play a tune for Anglo. I don't know if he's still here. Let me just wrap this up. I am obviously still taking donations. I will be putting your comments on the screen. Bless you all. This is Cold Hard Steel by Paul Bawley the G Mumford. He was also in 90s band Household, who apparently are getting back together to release an EP, a 6-track EP with a cover of Lana Del Rey's Video Games, which is very strange, but I love that song so much. Go and give it a chance. I didn't know she was famous when I first heard it. Here we go. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Let me know you can hear it, someone. Here we are. Ta-da!
Tell your daddy you're fighting good. Feel the glory he said you would. Tell your mama you're coming home. Over all of that deafening drone. But you'll realize you've been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Feel the dawn of your final day. Feel the fear and go anyway. Get a ride in that big black plane. Kill the conscience along your brain. But you'll realize you've been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. roll when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord. Do whatever they tell me to. Tell yourself it ain't really you. But when the slaughtering has begun, you'll be murdering someone's son. And you'll realize you've been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Cause the wheels already been rolled when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord. Yes, you'll realize you've been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord. Cause the wheels already been rolled when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord.
Wow. You gotta love that, haven't you? You know what? Earlier, I was baking a cake. Well, actually, I was eating a durian, but I was baking a cake at the same time. And I dropped, this is true story, Emma. I dropped a glass. I actually did. And it was strangely sensual. Where am I going? I've lost everyone. Bless you all. I will see you soon. Look after yourselves. And don't forget to tell the people you love that you love them, because it's a lovely thing to do. And it makes people feel the love they need to feel. It's a basic human need. Ta-da! Hoita!